A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry, at Fair Oaks.
See you later, gang.
Okay.
Oh, there's Lee. Ted's with him. Hello, Lee. Ted.
Well, it didn't take you long to get out of your shower, Jerry.
No, I guess I did kind of hurry.
Well, let's walk on over to the campus.
Okay.
Jerry, Lee's just had some pretty bad news.
Bad news? Golly. Well, what is it, Lee?
Well, maybe I'd better tell you, Jerry.
Okay.
Jerry, Lee's just found out that, well, he's going to have to leave Fair Oaks.
Leave Fair Oaks? Why, you're kidding.
Do you think I'd kid about a thing like that?
No, I guess you wouldn't.
Come on, let's keep on walking.
Yeah. Well, what's it all about, Lee?
Well, maybe Lee doesn't feel like talking about it right now.
Oh, yes, I'll talk about it. If I don't, I might do something pretty silly. Well, to begin with, Jerry, you remember when we were out in the outboard boat that day, going over to General Bend?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, do you remember that I told you that in more ways than one, you and I were in the same boat?
Sure, I remember that. You told me that you're an orphan, too, just like me.
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember my mother. She died when I was just a baby, but, well, Dad really raised me. He was a swell pal, too, but, well, he died about a year ago.
Oh.
Let's sit down here under the Davis Oak for a while.
Huh? Okay.
Sure.
The Davis Oak. Well, Dad was in the lithographing business.
The what?
Lithographing business. That's a kind of printing, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
It's generally used by circuses and carnivals and for big billboards and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I guess the business was pretty successful, too, because we had a nice home in the city and a swell place out in the country, right on the shores of the lake, Angle Lake. We had a speedboat and 2 or 3 other boats, some horses. Oh, gee, it was a beautiful place.
Was? Well, don't you have it anymore?
No. Now, after Dad died, Mr. Thorpe, he was Dad's lawyer, well, he thought the place at the lake would just be unnecessary expense, so we sold it.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mr. Thorpe was named in Dad's will as the executor of his estate.
An executor, Jerry, is the man who takes care of an estate for the heirs after a person dies.
Yeah, I know. Well, go on, Lee.
Mr. Thorpe's a swell fella. Gee, he's treated me like a million. I've always called him Uncle Ross.
Ross Thorpe. That's the lawyer's name, huh?
Yeah. And, well, after Mr. Thorpe sold the place at Angle Lake, he told me, if it was all right with me, he'd buy the house in town. He said he'd been looking for a new home, and Mrs. Thorpe had always liked our house, and so, well, of course, it was all right with me because I was coming here to Fair Oaks pretty soon anyway.
Sure. You wouldn't have any use for a big house in the city.
No. So Mr. Thorpe bought the house, and that's where he and his wife have been living ever since. Well, of course, one of the parts of the job of an executor of an estate is looking after the business interests of the heirs. And Mr. Thorpe's been managing the plant ever since Dad died. Now, well, what Major Davis had to tell me was that Mr. Thorpe had written to him and told him the business back home was in such terrible shape that the estate couldn't stand having me stay here the rest of this year.
Golly, that's terrible, Lee.
Yeah, it is terrible.
When do you think you'll leave, Lee?
I might as well go right away, I guess.
And not even finish midterm exams?
Oh, why should I finish them? I won't be coming back next term.
No, but, well, you'll get your midterm grades, Lee, and they'll be good in whatever school you go to.
Jerry's right, Lee. You should stay on the next few days and finish up this midterm anyway.
Well, I guess I might as well. That's what Major Davis said, too. Gee, I'll hate to leave Fair Oaks. This school meant more to me than anything else I've ever known. Except my dad, of course.
Lee.
Yes, Ted?
Remember what that motto says up over the front door of Custis Hall?
Sure. Toil is the father of fame.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't put up there for the cadets just while they're at Fair Oaks, Lee. It means that wherever we go, whatever we do after we leave the academy, it's just as true then. So, wherever you go, that motto means that you should work hard and take advantage of your opportunities, whatever they are, and you'll succeed. Oh, you mustn't let leaving here make a difference in your trying hard to succeed.
No, I know that, Ted. And thanks for reminding me. Well, I've got a stiff math exam coming up tomorrow. I think I'll go up to the room and bone for it. You coming, Jerry?
Huh? Oh, excuse me, Lee. What'd you say?
I'll have you any studying to do? I'm going to bone for my math test tomorrow.
Oh, no, not right away. Say, Lee.
Yeah?
Where are you going after exams are over?
Why, I'll go right to the Thorpes, I guess. Uncle Ross told Major Davis that was what I should do.
Uh-huh. Okay, where does Mr. Thorpe live?
In Mapleton. That's where Dad and I lived. Why?
Huh? Oh, nothing, Lee, nothing. You're going to the room and study, huh?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, I'll see you later.
Oh, you're not coming up right away?
No, Lee, not right away. I'll see you later. You too, Dad.
Okay, so long, Jerry.
So long.
Oh, Jerry.
Oh, hello, Bruce.
Wait up a moment, will you?
Sure.
Where are you going right now, over to Max?
Yeah, I've got something very important to do.
Oh, really? Mind if I tag along with you?
No, of course not. Come on.
My word, at the gait at which you're walking certainly leads me to believe you do have something important on your mind.
Yeah. Bruce.
Yes?
Lee just got word from the executor of his dad's estate that he's going to have to leave Fair Oaks.
Leave Fair Oaks? Why, you mean for all time?
Yep, for good.
Why, I don't understand, Jerry. Why?
Well, it's something about his estate. Mr. Thorpe, that's the man who was Lee's father's lawyer.
Yes?
Well, he told Major Davis to tell Lee he was going to have to leave and go back home. That he wouldn't be able to come back to Fair Oaks next term.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
It sure is. Go ahead, Bruce.
Thanks.
But I've got an idea, and I think it's going to work.
You mean you have an idea which might allow Lee to come back next term?
Yes, sir. I think I have.
Well, do you mind if I ask what it is?
No, I don't mind. But do you mind if I don't tell you? You'll find out pretty soon.
Well, say, you seem rather gay about this whole thing.
I am, Bruce. I'm just tickled that I thought of this idea. Golly, I hope it works.
Well, I certainly do, too, if it means that Lee will be able to remain here at school.
You know, Lee and I just found out a little while ago that we're both orphans. I mean, each one just found out the other one is.
Oh, is that so?
The only difference is that, well, Lee's folks have always had lots of money, and mine, well, we're just circus folks.
Yes, so you told me.
Well, you see, Bruce, the only difference between my being here at Fair Oaks and Lee being here is that my money is in a bank, and his comes from his dad's factory.
Well, I may be balmy, but I don't quite see
Well,
that.
you will. I just wanted to tell you those things because when the time comes to work it out, I may want to ask you to help me.
Oh, surely. I'll be glad to do anything I can.
Well, here's Mac's place. Come on in. Hello, Mac.
Good afternoon, Mac.
Oh, well, lads. Bruce and Jerry. Now, where's the third member of the triumvirate?
The what?
The three little boys from school, huh? I mean, Jerry, where's your illustrious roommate?
Oh, Lee's back at Hayward Hall studying for an exam tomorrow.
Oh, I understand the new. Well, lads, what shall it be today?
Well, I don't know whether I want anything or not, Mac. I'll decide in a minute. Just as soon as I get through phoning Mr. Randall.
Mr. Randall? Oh, well, he's come to town already, huh? For the midterm exercises. Well, that's fine.
Whoa, hold your horses, Mac. No, Mr. Randall isn't here yet.
Huh?
But that's what I want to talk with him about.
You mean you're going to telephone him by long distance?
That's right.
Oh, gosh, lad, you mustn't be wasting your money like that.
No, it isn't wasting it, Mac. You'll find out when you hear what I'm going to tell Mr. Randall.
Oh, Jerry, you'll be the death of me yet.
Mac.
Aye, lad.
I've never called by long distance before. Now, how do I do it?
Well, where is Mr. Randall, the new?
He's with the circus in winter quarters at Melrose City.
Well, I'll put the call in for you, lad. What's the name of the circus again?
Randall Brothers Greater Circus.
I mind the new. This is 4832. I wish to place a call for Mr. Samuel Randall.
Not Samuel, Mac. Just plain Sam.
Sam Randall. He's with the Randall Brothers Greater Circus in Melrose City. Person to person. Mr. Jerry Dugan is making the call. That's correct. Thank you. She'll call back in a moment or two, Jerry.
Thanks, Mac. Well, Mac, Lee's just heard some pretty bad news.
Bad news, Losh? What is it?
Well, he thinks he's going to have to leave Fair Oaks.
What?
He thinks he has to leave. I thought you said...
Yeah, I did, Bruce. I did say that Major Davis told him he would have to leave, definitely. But that's what I'm trying to fix.
Oh, that is bad news, Jerry. What seems to be the matter?
Well, something to do with the business his dad left him when he died.
Oh, money.
Yep, that's it.
Losh, money. You mind the old saying, lads, how painful it is sometimes to keep money as well as to get it. Old Samuel Pepys said that, and it's a very, very true... there's a call, Jerry. You take it to know.
Thanks, Mac. Hello? Hello, Mr. Randall. What'd you say? Trouble? Oh, no, I'm not in any trouble. Say, Mr. Randall, you got my letter asking you to come up to Fair Oaks for the midterm exams, didn't you? Yes, sir. Well, you're coming, aren't you? Oh, gee, that's swell, Mr. Randall. Mr. Randall, could you possibly make it up here before then? I mean, what, sir? Well, tomorrow afternoon, if you possibly could. You will? Oh, gee, that's swell. What'd you say? Oh, well, if it's all right with you, Mr. Randall, I'd rather talk to you about it when I see you. Okay? Thanks. Well, I guess that's about all. I'll sure be looking forward to seeing you again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I will. I'll meet you at the train tomorrow afternoon, then. All right. Goodbye. Well, so far, so good.
So far, so good. And I think I'm beginning to see what this is all about. I'm beginning to understand.
You are, huh?
I think I am, too.
Well, okay, you two. But you mustn't say anything about it to Lee.
No, not a word.
PSI. That's your smartest cola buy. Pepsi-Cola presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy. Calling Washington.
United States Counterspy is specially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight, the case of the vicious visitor. Another Counterspy report to the American people. Brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday by Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola, hit the spot, 2 full glasses, that's a lot.
That's right, you heard what they said. 2 full glasses of sparkling Pepsi from one big 12-ounce bottle. You're getting an extra glassful. And what a delicious glassful. The most refreshing, delightful cola that ever tickled your taste. You can't top Pepsi's tangy flavor. And that big, big bottle saves you money, goes twice as far. Pepsi's America's big, big favorite. And America's biggest cola value. So why take less when Pepsi's best? Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
Why take less when Pepsi's best?
And now, to Counterspy. A penitentiary, its high, thick walls looming black in the darkness. Inside, a sudden flood of searchlights illuminates every corner. Gates clang shut. And a siren wails frighteningly into the night.
Attention all posts. Special alert. Block all exits. This is Warden Dean. Prisoner 196523, Rocky Gaines. Escaped from prison workshop 3 minutes ago. Block all exits. And be careful. Gaines is armed. He's a psychotic murderer and will shoot to kill.
Rocky? Yeah, well, I made it. You got the clothes?
Yeah, in the car.
All right.
You can change on the way.
The hounds are getting closer. Come on, let's get going. Oh, fagged out, Al. Where's the car?
Right where I said it'd be, Rocky.
Yeah?
The road cuts through this swamp just a few feet ahead. Oh, they're getting closer, Rocky.
I got this far, Al. I'll get the rest of the way. I hope.
There's the car. Stubbs is in the back seat. You can change.
What?
Rocky, I'm hit.
A couple of shots might hold him off a minute. Al, come on, get in the back, quick.
Can't move.
All right, come on, I'll help you in. Come on.
Give up. Rocky, you ain't got a chance. Give up.
No chance, huh? I got this far. You watch me get the rest of the way.
To David Harding, Chief United States Counterspies, Washington. From Warden Deans, Alderlander Federal Penitentiary, Maxton City. Rocky Gaines, serving time here for armed bank robbery, made successful break 5 p.m. this date. After gun battle with prison search squad in nearby swamp, Gaines and unidentified companion made getaway in black Buick sedan.
Rocky, where you driving it?
We gotta ditch this car, Al.
These woods are as good a spot as any.
Rocky, them bump. Every time you hit a bump, it kills me. I'm all shot up.
Oh, they got money on it, too. You don't hear me yapping, do you?
It hurts, Rocky. I didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we'll leave the jalopy here. Come on now, get out of that back seat. Out, I said. We got to keep moving.
Yeah, Rocky, I swear. Down to my legs, I can't move. Rocky, I'll wait here for you.
What do you mean, wait?
You got to get me a doc, Rocky, please. Rocky, a doc's the only one that can help
Oh,
me.
sure. Doc, I'll say, come with me and help my pal. He got shot helping me break out of the pen. Sure, you come running.
You got to do something. I can't take it. It's like a fire inside of me. You're my pal. You got to do something.
Okay, I'll do something for you.
Rocky, that gun. What's the idea?
I told you I'd do something, didn't I? This'll put you out of your misery.
Rocky, don't.
You're going to die anyway. I'm doing you a favor.
Don't pull that trigger.
So long, Al.
Wait.
See you around.
Rocky,
David Harding, Washington, from Conway, now at Albany Field Office. Black Buick sedan used by Rocky Gaines in prison break, found in woods 16 miles north of here. Bullet-riddled body of unidentified man found in back seat. For identification, I'm forwarding fingerprints, bullets removed from body, and blood samples.
Harding, Washington, to Conway, Albany. Identification reports that fingerprints of the dead man are those of Alvin Troy, alias Al Trojan, formerly a sidekick of Rocky Gaines. We're working on blood samples you forwarded in the laboratory. How's it coming, Dr. Lawson?
Well, I finished the blood test, Mr. Harding.
And?
Well, have a look. This microscope first.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a specimen of the blood we found in the rear seat of the getaway car. Type O.
The dead man, Al Trojan, had type O.
Yes, sir. Now, look at the specimen under this other microscope. See, that's a smear we got from the front seat of the car.
That's different.
It certainly is. Type B blood.
Which means that the man driving the getaway car was Rocky Gaines. And he must have been wounded by the prison guards, too.
Undoubtedly.
Well, Dr. Lawton, when the other reports are completed, let me know. I'll be back in my office with Harry Peters. And the lab test, Peters, proved that the blood stains on the front and rear seats of the car were of different types. Now, what did ballistics dig up about the bullets in Trojan's body?
Something even more interesting, Dave. Of the 5 slugs probed out of Al Trojan's body, only 2 were .30 caliber. The other 3 were .45s.
What?
Yes, sir. And the prison guards used .30 caliber rifles.
And we know that Rocky Gaines was armed with a revolver, undoubtedly a .45.
Nice boy, Rocky Gaines.
This means he murdered his own partner.
Rocky must have figured that Al Trojan wounded was a dead weight on his hands. And dead men tell no tales, especially to the police.
Well, from all we know about Gaines, this doesn't surprise me, Peters. According to the prison reports, Gaines is a psychotic trigger-finger type, a purely emotionless killer without normal human conscience.
Special coming in on the radio, Dave.
Harding, go ahead.
Conway, Mr. Harding. I'm in Tannersville. I got a lead on Rocky Gaines.
Let's have it.
Less than an hour ago, a motorist picked up a hitchhiker on a back road 20 miles from here. And then at gunpoint, the driver was forced out of his car and left high and dry.
The driver identifies the hitchhiker as Rocky Gaines?
Positively.
What direction did he drive off?
North.
All right, Conway. From now on, we'll use Tannersville as the focal point of our operation. Set up an emergency base for us there.
Right, Chief.
Why Tannersville, Dave?
Look at this map, Peters. Here's Tannersville. The last large town this side of those mountains. Now, you heard Conway. Rocky was driving north.
Which means he's probably headed into the mountains,
Right. And with the local police, we'll set up blocks at every intersection of those mountain roads. Rocky may get into those mountains, but he has at least one bullet wound. Sooner or later, he'll have to get help up there, or come out for it.
And when he does, we'll have to be close by, or some innocent people may get killed.
Norma, this boat engine sounds kind of peculiar to me.
Oh, Cliff, there isn't a thing wrong with the boat, and you know it.
Well, it still sounds funny. I can't put my finger
Now,
on the...
darling, you're just looking for another excuse to take the motor apart again. Now, isn't that it?
Trouble with you, Mrs. Benton, is you know too darn much about me.
Well, now, imagine a husband admitting that.
Hey, you're running inside into the jetty.
Oh, I am. I'm sorry.
All right, I'll bring it in easy. There. That's it. Okay, kill the motor.
Huh?
This is a nice landing.
Thank you.
Anything special you want in town, Norma?
No. Oh, yes, Cliff. Will you stop by Jane Tompkins and ask if she heard anything about that material I ordered?
Jane Tompkins material. Anything else?
Not a thing. I'll be back to pick you up here at 12.
All right, honey. Here at the jetty at 12.
Bye.
Nice boat you got there, lady.
Oh, thanks. My husband takes a lot of pride in it.
Looks like things turned out okay for you, Norma.
What?
What's the matter, Norma? Don't you remember me? An old friend like me? Take another look.
Rocky Gaines.
It's been a long time, huh, baby? How many years? 15? Still don't look a day over 20.
What are you doing here?
You don't look so glad to see your old friend, Rocky. You and me used to get along swell in the old days, remember? Norma and Rocky? Quite a pair.
What do you want, Rocky?
For old time's sake, baby, just a little favor.
What kind of a favor?
I happened to be in the neighborhood, and I remember hearing that after you left town, you come up here and there's yourself a square. Some guy who runs duck hunting blinds out on that island on a lake.
Yes, we live there, Cliff and I.
I figured that island's just about the right place for me to lay low a while till the heat's off. Well, what do you say, Norma, baby? For old time's sake?
I'm sorry, Rocky.
I got a slug in my shoulder. I need a doc to take care of it. I got a healthy wad of dough. You'll get nice room and board.
No, I won't do it, Rocky. I can't. I'll just pretend that you weren't here. But I didn't see you.
You pretend, huh?
It's the best I can do, Rocky.
The best you can do? Now, you listen to me. I'm wise to your setup, baby. Nobody around here is supposed to know what you were before you came here. You're a nice, sweet lily of the valley in these parts,
Rocky, I've changed. I'm different.
Norma, baby. That character Cliff who got out of that boat a few minutes ago. You two looked awful happy from where I was standing. Ever tell your husband about the old days, Norma? About yourself and Rocky Gaines? No, I guess you didn't. Now, you wouldn't want to spoil everything and make Mr. Benton unhappy, would you?
Of all the places in the world, why did you have to come here?
Baby, I knew you'd come through for an old friend. Oh. Now, after you take me over to your island, you call the town doctor and tell him there was a gun accident.
But, Cliff, what will I tell Cliff?
Just tell your husband that an old friend named Steve Evans is staying for a visit. Now, turn that motor over, baby. Let's get out to that island fast.
Harding, go ahead.
This is Conway, Mr. Harding. We've just located the car stolen by Rocky Gaines. It's lying at the bottom of a ravine, completely wrecked.
What about Rocky?
No trace of him, Chief.
What's the location, Conway?
Just off a dirt road called Elder Lane, 9 miles south of Crystal Lake.
All right, Conway, we'll head that way. Better step on the seat. Right, Dave. We'll have to turn onto Route 16A for Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake. It means Rocky's still moving north. Yes. Without a car, he's going to be slowed down. Dave, now we can start closing in on Rocky Gaines from all sides. Yes, and let's hope we get him before any innocent bystanders excite his murder-mad mind.
In just a moment, we'll return to Counterspy, brought to you by Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola hits the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Lots more value, lots more zest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
More and more, among fellows and girls, among mothers and dads, you hear that sane and sensible question. Why take less when Pepsi's best? No budget, no allowance ever had a better friend than tangy, sparkling Pepsi-Cola. Because one big 12-ounce Pepsi bottle gives you 2 delicious drinks. That's twice as much tangy taste, twice as much delicious Pepsi to go just twice as far. That's why more and more families say, why take less when Pepsi's best? Yes, families like yours and mine, families all over America, they're all saying, why take less when Pepsi's best?
Pepsi-Cola hits the spot. Tastes terrific when you're hot. More and better than the rest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
Today, tomorrow, always. Get America's biggest cola value. Take home a carton of 6 big Pepsi bottles. Insist on Pepsi at the store. And say Pepsi at the fountain. Say Pepsi at the stand. Say Pepsi. Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
why take less when Pepsi's best?
Now back to Counterspy. David Harding and his assistant, Harry Peters, looking for the escaped federal prisoner and murderer, Rocky Gaines, are now in the office of a Dr. Raymond Vincent in the town of Greendale on the shore of Crystal Lake.
Dr. Vincent, this is my assistant, Harry Peters.
How do you do, Mr. Peters?
Dr. Vincent. Well, now, if you will tell us the story, Doctor.
Well, of course, Mr. Harding, it can't have any bearing on your case, but that man of yours who stopped by here was so dead set in my telling you.
Well, please go ahead, Dr. Vincent.
Well, it was like this. Now, yesterday morning, the phone rings. It's Norma Benton, place over on Mallard Island.
Mallard Island?
That's a big island a few miles out in the lake. It's called Mallard on account it's a dandy spot for duck hunters. Matter of fact, it's the best darn spot in the state. Cliff Benton and his wife Norma are the only ones who live on Mallard. Cliff keeps the duck blinds in repair. County pays for it, you know. It brings business here.
Well, Doctor, what about Mrs. Benton's telephone call?
Well, it seems Norma Benton's got a friend that came to visit. Friend's name is, it wasn't it. I have it here on a card. Evans, that's what it is. Steve Evans.
Steve Evans. And then, Doctor?
Well, it seems Norma was showing this Steve Evans fella some of Cliff's guns, and one of the darn things goes off, and this friend is shot right smack in the shoulder. You have quite a few accidents like that up here. You know, you've got to be careful with firearms.
Doctor, do you have the bullet you extracted?
Well, we usually do, you know, but this friend of Norma Benton's, what in tarnation was his name? I got it here on a card.
Evans. Steve Evans.
That's it, Evans, yeah. You've got a good memory, son. Well, this Steve Evans tells me he'd like to keep the bullet for a souvenir of his visit to Crystal Lake. Some folks are kind of funny that way, you know. I once knew a fellow...
Well, Doctor, we won't take up any more of your time. Thank you very much.
Well, you're entirely welcome. I suppose I wasn't of much help to you, though.
You never can tell, Doctor. Goodbye.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
What do you think, Dave? I'll bet you my pension that the Benton's visitor is Rocky Gaines. Hop in, Peter. Harding to Conway in Master Control car.
Conway to Harding, standing by.
Believe we've located Rocky Gaines on Mallard Island in Crystal Lake. Have all mobile squads in area report to me at Lake Shore town of Greendale. That is all.
The wind-up, Dave?
Well, not just yet, Peters. I'm interested in Norma and Cliff Benton.
Well, why should they protect and harbor a criminal? Suppose they don't know who he really is?
Well, in that case, those two are in terrible danger. Rocky Gaines is a pathological killer. If we make any hasty move, he might murder them.
That's true.
On the other hand, the doctor told us that Steve Evans was an old friend of Mrs. Norma Benton. Peters, before we close in on Mallard Island, I want a complete checkup on Norma Benton. Then we'll know how to handle this capture.
swell dinner, Mrs. Benton.
Norma's my favorite cook, Mr. Evans.
You're lucky to have a wife like her.
Yes, don't I know it? But Norma, dear, you haven't said a word all evening. Is there something wrong?
No.
You hardly ate anything, did you?
I wasn't very hungry, Cliff.
Something on your mind, maybe, Mrs. Benton?
No, there is nothing on my mind.
Norma, dear, something is bothering me. Now, you haven't been all right for the past few days. What is it, dear?
I'm all right, Cliff. How many times do I have to tell you I'm perfectly all right? Now let me alone.
Norma, wait.
I just want to be let alone.
Norma!
Well, looks like I maybe started something, Mr. Benton.
No, it's not your fault, Mr. Evans. Only I can't understand what's gotten into her. She was always so happy here, on the island. It's such a safe, peaceful place.
Yeah, Mr. Benton. This island's about the safest place I've ever been in my life.
All right, Scott. Thanks very much. Peters, you get all that on the extension?
All of it, Dave. This is Norma Benton, formerly Norma Marcy, entertainer at the Black Grotto in Bayside from 1931 to 1934. An old flame of Rocky Gaines. That undoubtedly means Mrs. Benton is giving help to Rocky.
Yes, Peters. She's hiding him. Now we know how to handle this.
This is Norma Benton?
Yes, I'm Norma Benton. What is it?
I've been waiting for you to come over here from the island.
But who are you?
Agent Harry Peters, United States Counterspies. Come with me, please.
And that's the story, Mr. Harding. Rocky Gaines forced himself on you. I had to take him in.
You had to. Why?
Because I didn't want Cliff. That's my husband to find out what I was once. I didn't want to hurt him.
I see.
Can you understand what I mean, Mr. Harding?
Well, yes, Mrs. Benton, but there are a great many people like you who make the same mistake. Once you were in a bad crowd, but at least you had the sense to get out. You've nothing to be ashamed of.
Some people don't see it that way.
The right people do, Mrs. Benton, and from everything I know about your husband, he's certainly one of the right people.
I was crazy to help Rocky, I know. If I had come to you in the beginning, Cliff wouldn't be in such danger now.
Danger? What do you mean, Mrs. Benton?
Rocky warned me not to let Cliff leave the island until after he's gone. He keeps his eye on Cliff all the time. Follows him, never lets Cliff out of his sight. And Rocky always has that gun with him. He told me that if anything goes wrong, if I make just one slip, he'll kill Cliff.
Hello?
Well, Mr. Harding, this is Cliff Benton.
Mr. Benton, yes?
Norma's not in the house now, but she told me about your talk with her. Rocky Gaines finally went to sleep. I just checked to make sure.
All right. Peters and I'll start for your island right away.
All right. The mooring's on the south shore.
I know. We should be there in less than 20 minutes.
I'll be waiting for you, Mr. Harding.
You'll be waiting, huh, Benton?
Game.
I told Norma what had happened if either of you tried playing games with me.
You should have left my wife alone.
I knew her long before you did, you...
Game. Don't hit me again.
All you and Norma had to do was keep your traps tight till I got away. What did you have to squeal for?
The Counterspies found out themselves, Gaines. You're licked now. They're on their way here.
And you think I'm going to sit here like one of those dumb ducks of yours, huh? Well, I can play games too, Ben, with red-hot slugs for you and for Norma.
Wait, Gaines.
Wait, yeah, don't worry, I'll wait. Till Harding gets here. And then I start.
Now let Island island just ahead, Dave. Make for the jetty on the south side, Peters. Right. Peters, light. Through the trees. That light. Light? Right in the center of the island. Over there. I see it. That's the attic light in the Benton house. Norma Benton's danger signal to us. Something must have gone haywire. Maybe Rocky tumbled to the plan. Let's get to shore. I'll make it fast.
Mr. Harding. Mr. Harding.
Mrs. Benton, Dave.
Mr. Harding, did you see the attic signal?
Yes. Last I heard was from your husband. What happened?
I was outside the room when Cliff called you. Rocky caught him at it, so I switched on the signal light in the attic and ran down here.
We'll go right up to the house.
Yes, but Mr. Harding, Rocky plans to kill us all. Cliff, me, and you. He's waiting for you to arrive. But if he finds out that I'm gone, he won't wait. He has Cliff in the living room.
Peter, yes, Dave. We'll have to improvise fast now. You circle around the house. I'll have to take a chance of going up the front way with Mrs. Benton. There's a back door to the living room, isn't there, Mrs. Benton?
Yes.
Okay, Peter. You come in through the back. I'll try to stall Rocky Gaines while I jockey him into position. Now, your cue to come in will be this sentence. Don't be a fool, Rocky. You got it? Don't be a fool, Rocky. All set on it, Dave. I bet. A shot, Dave.
Rocky, still back.
Mrs. Benton, wait. Don't go back there alone. Wait!
Oh, Cliff, he didn't. You're all right.
Mr. Benton, where are the shots?
Mr. Harding, it wasn't Cliff. Thank heaven it
Those
wasn't.
shots, Mr. Benton. What happened? Where's Rocky Gaines?
Right here, Harding.
Ooh.
Behind you.
Oh.
Get your hands up, Harding. You and Benton both. That's it. Now keep them that way. By the way, Harding, where are all your boys? I saw you come up the path alone.
I came over alone, Gaines, to talk sense to you.
Yeah? What kind of sense?
Give yourself up, Rocky. You haven't got a chance of getting away from this place alive.
Look who's telling me about getting out alive.
There are counterspies stationed all along the shore. Don't be a fool, Rocky.
Fool, huh? I got other tougher spots than this. After I set this house on fire, your Boy Scouts will all come over here on the double. That's when I make my break with the boat.
I told you before, you haven't got a chance in the world. Don't be a fool, Rocky.
Shut up. You're holding up this party, and at this party, Harding, you're the guest of honor. And like they say, a guest of honor should get the first helping.
That's a close one for you, Dave. You're telling me, Peters. What happened to you? I said the signal sentence twice, Dave. Believe it or not, those woods out back are thicker than we figured. Took me a while to get through. It's a good thing they weren't any thicker. All right, Mrs. Benton?
A little shaky, but yes, all right. As Cliff said.
We're both very grateful to you, Mr. Harding, for saving our lives. And our life together.
Well, it cost Rocky Gaines his life. And that closes the case of your vicious visitor.
When your friends drop in, be generous, but be thrifty, too. Serve plenty of delicious Pepsi-Cola. Pepsi's big 12-ounce bottle gives you not just one sparkling glassful, but two. Get a carton of 6 and serve 12 delicious drinks. Yes, Pepsi is America's biggest cola value. You get twice the tangy taste, twice the refreshment, twice the Pepsi. So why take less when Pepsi is best? Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
Pepsi-Cola hits the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Lot more value, lot more zest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
This is David Harding again. A special word to employers. Give work to our handicapped veterans. Next time a job opens, write to Captain Maurice Witherspoon, Masonic Veterans Committee, 71 West 23rd Street, New York City. Give our fighting men a fighting chance for rehabilitation.
Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station to Counterspy. Listen next Tuesday for the exciting Counterspy case of the sweepstake murders.
When frightened witnesses could gasp only murdered by a golden sword. When strange and eerie sounds came from the depths of a ship. When a man had to be shot at to make him talk. These were some of the elements your counterspies faced in our next case. Tune in on Tuesday to
Case of the Sweepstake Murders on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by William M. Sweet, dramatized by Edward J. Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer, with music by Jesse Crawford. Counterspy is a Philip H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some Pepsi, ice cold tonight.
When my telephone rang, it jerked me out of one nightmare and right into the middle of another, where a woman with a secret, a worried man, and a shadow out of the past met with fear and fury in the dead of night.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character as CBS presents The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. And now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Friend from Detroit.
There was a wood nymph dressed in nothing but a veil of dewdrops. She was pirouetting from one huge bluebell to another on gossamer wings. And with every turn, she smiled and came closer. But just as I reached out for a hand, something happened. The bluebells changed into old tomato cans and started to ring. A bandy-legged little man with a jackhammer went to work on my head. I fell over a cliff, and just before I landed on a red-hot pile of broken Scotch bottles... Oh, I woke up. But the jackhammer didn't stop. I switched on the light and looked at my watch. It was 1 in the a.m., and the phone on my bed table was screaming for an answer. Hello?
Marlowe, this is Dave. Betty's gone. She's in trouble. You gotta help me, Marlowe. You gotta come over to my apartment
Wait
right
a minute.
away.
Who is this?
Dave Pryor. I run the coffee joint on the corner. You know me.
Yeah, sure, Dave. I remember. What's the matter?
My wife, Betty, she's gone. You gotta help me.
Dave, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm in bed. Besides, you know I don't monkey with family quarrels.
It's not like that, Phil. Believe me, I'm scared for her. Phil, please, come over to the apartment. 2000 Beechwood right away. It's a matter of life.
Okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Marlowe, I thought you'd never get here. Look, somebody fired a shot through the door, and when I got back with the aspirin, Betty was gone.
All right, wait a minute, Dave, hold it. I'm not even awake yet. Look, sit down. Take it from the top. Slow.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it started this morning at the coffee joint when a fancy guy came in and talked to Betty. She waits on the table.
Yeah, I know. What do you mean fancy?
Well, a slick dress, a cufflink, stick pin, all that. I didn't know him, and Betty tossed him off to me as a masher. Maybe he was, but she seemed upset.
Lower, huh?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, tonight about 9, another guy came in, a chunky bird with a deep voice. Betty had just got back from shopping, and I was in the kitchen. See, when I heard a tray of dishes fall and Betty came back, white as a sheet, she was scared, Phil, scared.
Hey!
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Go ahead.
I looked out, and that chunky guy was leaving. Betty insisted he had nothing to do with it, that she was just nervous.
Was somebody else in the place at the time?
Let's see. Yeah, some Tribune reporter that comes in every night was up at the counter. He was the only one.
And Betty stayed on the job till you closed, huh?
Yeah, till midnight. But, Phil, she was in a bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
After we got home here, she sent me out with some aspirin. I was only out for 15 minutes, Phil. When I came back, she was gone. And look, this bullet hole in the glass door to the backyard. Somebody out there shot at her. And maybe he hit her or
something.
something.
All right, Dave, steady. Now take it easy. You and Betty have a gun?
No. Why?
Well, in the first place, the bullet went out through this glass. It didn't come in. And another thing, Dave, who did you call tonight after you phoned me?
Why, nobody.
Phone directory on the dresser here is open to the B's. Boone to wardrobe. Mean anything to you?
No, I didn't even realize it was over there. I looked you up in the classified.
Mm-hmm. Okay, come on. Let's take a look in the backyard. Any light out there?
Yeah, I rigged one up for the barbecue. Look, Marlowe, there must
take
be
it
something
easy. Now, we'll straighten this out, believe me. Let's see. Line of sight seems to run somewhere between the barbecue and the gate. No footprints, though. Maybe.
Marlowe. Marlowe, here by the tree. It's a hat. Gray snap brim, initials VR on the sweatband.
VR. Mean anything to you?
Oh, I know. Sure, that's Van Remini's hat. He's the newspaper guy I told you about.
Tribune reporter that was in your place tonight?
Yeah.
Why should he be dodging bullets in your backyard?
I don't know.
Dave, where's Betty from?
Detroit. When she came out here, I gave her a job.
And then you both fell for each other and got married, huh?
Yeah, 2 years ago next month. And we've been happy, Phil. We've been...
Yeah. Now, look, Dave. Why did you call me instead of the cops?
I guess I'm afraid she's mixed up in something bad.
You know, if it turns out that way, I'll have to call him myself.
Okay, Phil. But you're on my side until you know for sure.
Yeah. All right, now you stay here, close to your phone.
Okay.
I'll check with you. Right now, I got to get a line on a bare-headed reporter. He can get us started if he hasn't lost anything more than his hat when I find him. So long, Dave. A reporter's hat, 2 strangers, and a bullet hole somehow added up to the fast fate of a hard-working kid named Betty, whose husband's only claim to fame was selling the best cup of coffee in town. It made no sense, but as I walked up the street toward my car, I figured that through Van Remini, I could get to the first answer. I was wrong. The first answer got to me. A thick hedge suddenly sprouted arms. One jerked me around while the other held the cold throat of a .45 against my throat.
Your car registration tag says your name is Philip Marlowe.
No kidding. How do you suppose that happened?
But it doesn't mention your racket. Shamus, maybe?
Could be. And you?
I'm a tourist.
Oh, sure. Just out to see the site.
That's it. One in particular. $25,000 that belongs to me. I don't want any interference from you or that square inside there.
You mean Dave Pryor?
I mean Dave Pryor. I'll go back in there and tell him to cool off. The little woman is all right. She's just helping an old friend, you might say.
Might I say you're the friend?
Never mind. Unless Mr. Jitters in there kicks up a fuss, everything will be fine. Betty knows what she's doing. She's got a lot of talent for it. Too much to waste slinging hash. And remember what I said, Marlowe. Lay off.
I'll remember more than that about you, Foghorn.
Just remember to count 10 before you move, boy.
Well, there's no point in trying to outsmart a 45. And with 3 steps, Foghorn vanished in the night. Also gone was a big chunk of my respect for a doll named Betty Pryor and a taste in old friends. Just so I wasn't jumping to conclusions, I went to my car and drove down to Hollywood Boulevard. At the first all-night gas station, I stopped and put in a call to the Tribune, where a guy on the desk told me, through a mouthful of mango cigar, that unless Remini was at Bungalow 24, Beverly Crest Hotel, covering the murder of an ex-Detroit hood, he was fired. Then he hung up. But the one word Detroit made the call a jackpot, so I headed for the hotel on the double. It was pink and Spanish and squatted in a grove of well-behaved palm trees at the edge of a domesticated jungle, which gave the illusion of privacy to a string of bungalows that weren't. But number 24 had all the privacy of a glass-faced cutaway beehive when I pulled up in the middle of 2 squad cars and an ambulance and went inside. Sprawled on the floor in front of a desk was the very well-dressed Exhibit A, complete with cufflinks and stickpin, and presiding as usual was Detective Lieutenant Ibarra, who didn't see me until I walked up beside him.
What are you doing here, Marlowe?
I can smell blood clear across town. What's the story, Ibarra?
The name is Spec Willard, a gambler from Detroit. Retired out here to California a few years back to play horses and women. He was shot to death at about 8 o'clock tonight by a person or persons unknown.
Another gang job?
No, I don't think so. Looks more like armed robbery that got out of hand.
How so?
We found a currency wrapper from a local bank that read $25,000 in an open drawer in the bedroom. And one of the bellhops saw a woman, unidentified so far, run out of here about the time the coroner says that Willard was shot.
A woman?
Yeah. That fits because he was known to be quite a nightclubber and general playboy. You wouldn't happen to know something about this woman, would you, Marlowe?
Me? Certainly not. No, I'm after a man, a live one, I hope.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, Marlowe, take this nickel. In case you should just happen to hear something, I want you to spend that on a phone call to the police department. Now, who is it you're looking for?
A Tribune reporter named Van Remini, you know him?
Unfortunately, that's him over there, the sticky-fingered one by the window, swiping that book of matches just now, the one without a hat.
Oh, yeah, I know. Thanks, Lieutenant. I'll see you. Hey, Remini, can I talk to you a minute?
Yeah, sure. What's on your mind?
I'm Philip Marlowe, private detective.
Don't apologize. What's up, Marlowe?
Know a girl named Betty Pryor?
Pryor?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah. She and her husband run a one-arm joint on Franklin, don't they?
That's right, Remini. I understand Betty got into a little trouble tonight. Heard about it?
Nope. Wouldn't worry, though. Trouble's not new to Betty.
Yeah, that's one popular school of thought. Incidentally, you seem to be going a long ways out of your way on this run-of-the-mill murder story, Remini.
You're taking a long way around to the point, pal. Get with it. I'm in a hurry.
Okay, pal. But keep it under your hat, won't you? The gray one, I mean.
Oh, so that's how
Yeah, that's the way it is, yeah. Now, do you mind telling me what you saw in Pryor's backyard tonight?
You name it. Shall I play dumb or lie?
Suit yourself.
See, my press card's just as good as your license, sweetheart. It gets me in, gets me out again. In my dodge, that's called reporting.
Remini, I'll squeeze the truth out of you eventually.
I'm sorry I can't wait. I've got a deadline. Anything else?
Yeah, one thing, a match.
Yeah, sure, Marlowe. Anytime.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And, Remini.
Yeah?
Don't hang on too long, huh? Liable to singe your pinkies. The reporter blew out the match and looked at me steadily for a moment. And his lips shaped a word I ignored. And then he walked away. I had seen enough of the book of matches he'd stolen to know it was in the star-kissed room, a glossy, glass-roofed dine, dance, and drink emporium near Arthur Murray's studio on Wilshire Boulevard. So I made like I was in for the night and watched Remini leave. All the way to his car, he kept looking back over his shoulder as if he expected to be followed. I waited till he was out of sight, and then I headed for Wilshire in the star-kissed room. But when I got there, it was closed. Remini's car wasn't in the neighborhood, and the only thing that kept the trip from being a total loss was a spotlighted picture. 10 feet square of a sultry, svelte chanteuse labeled Carla Borden, whose come-on-in smile in almost costume was a cinch to increase the accident rate of the block by 20%. But then I took another look at her name and got back to business. It started with a B, as in phone book, opened to Boone and Bordeaux. I found a directory, got it open to Boone and Bordeaux, and halfway down the page was Borden, Carla, 2840 North Lucerne. It took 10 minutes to get there and 2 more to find out that she had an apartment, number 17, at the end of the first-floor hall. The door was open, and I started for it, but ducked back close to the elevator when a woman came out and ran down the corridor toward me. It was Betty Pryor. Hold it, Betty! Whoa!
What? Mr. Marlowe, what are you...
Never mind the stall, Betty. I've been in a long time.
Why, I don't know what you're talking
Now, look,
about.
you left a pretty worried guy at home.
Babe, did he send you after me?
That's right.
Why can't you fools leave me alone? Why does he have to be so stupid?
Hey, you've got a few ideas mixed up, kid.
Oh, sure, I'm wrong. I'm the one who's all mixed up. Let go of
Not
me. You...
until I've got a couple of things straight. Now, what happened? Did life in a hamburger stand get a little stale?
Yes, you two-bit snoop.
Okay. Dave thinks you're in trouble. I think you're in trouble, and I think somebody waved a few bills at you, and you lost your grip.
Why?
And you're in so deep now you can't get out, and it's no more than you deserve. Now, come on. We're going right back down the hall to Carla's apartment. We're going to have a little chat, just the three of us.
No, I won't.
Come on.
Take your hands off, Marlowe. Stand still.
Well, my 2 chums, the foghorn and its .45 caliber equalizer.
Easy does it. You were lucky the first time. Well, Betty, did you get it?
No, something went wrong. Something terrible
Shut
went...
up. Marlowe isn't thief. We'll talk after he's out of the way. All right, you. Get in that elevator, chum. And we'll wait right here to see you leave. Come on, here.
That .45 makes you awful brave, chum.
This way we don't offend a lady by being uncouth. You get a chance to go up in the world. Just put your finger on a button.
Now, wait a minute.
Come on. All right. Now, all you have to do is push.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. But first, the most famous neighbors in radio, the Ronald Colmans, will pay Jack Benny a visit again tomorrow as CBS's Great Sunday Night gets underway with another star-studded group of famous entertainers. Amos and Andy, Lum and Abner, Eve Arden as the gay schoolmistress, our Miss Brooks, and Helen Hayes as a hillbilly. These are only 4 more of the 10 great entertainments which will come your way tomorrow night. Go visiting with the Colmans on all of these same stations on The Jack Benny Show, and hear the rest of CBS's Great Sunday Night 10 as they come one by one over most of these stations. And now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Friend from Detroit.
cage on cables with 10 exasperating seconds getting to the next floor. And I was another 10 getting free of it, back down the stairs and out into the dark street where the red splash of a taillight disappeared around a corner. And that was all that was left of Foghorn and company. So I turned back toward Carla Borden's room. When I stepped across the threshold, I found that with the exception of a single bureau that was still intact, apartment number 17 looked like it had just played host to the vortex of a cyclone. The bed, a chest of drawers, another bureau, a desk, everything was inside out. And in the middle of all that was the body of Carla Borden. Blood from a deep, ugly cut on her head, staining the snow-white front of her Angora sweater. I saw something else, which reminded me that this was not the first corpse of the night. The plush leather frame was shaped like an oversized lifesaver, and in it was the picture of a handsome man, all smiles, inscribed, "With love to my very best girl, Speck Willard." It was 10 minutes before I got Kennedy Barrow, who was still up at the Beverly Crest Hotel. And after I told him about Carla and her connection with the late Mr. Willard and Betty Pryor and my connection with Dave, I stopped talking and listened.
Marlowe, we just learned that Willard had some kind of a $25,000 caper going with one of his old mobster friends from Detroit, named Joe Lazar.
Well, maybe it's something with a voice and active below bottom?
The same, Phil. Anyhow, it looks like they worked out a gambling deal for old time's sake. At the last minute, Willard tried to welch on Lazar and got killed for his trouble. Then Lazar searched the place until he found the $25,000.
No. That part doesn't fit, Ibarra.
How so?
Well, I've run into Lazar twice tonight. I know he and the money are still strangers.
Oh?
After what happened here with the team of Betty and Lazar getting to the singer Carla, I figured they're still looking for it. Also, I figured Carla was somewhere near when Lazar killed Speck Willard, and that she took the money and... Call you later, Ibarra. I got clumsy company in the hall outside. All right, ballerina, get your foot out of that bucket and come on in with your hands up. Well, the man with the very long nose for news. What brings you around, Remini?
For one thing, the fact that you got no corner on brains, Marlowe, and for another, who did that to her?
Our mutual friend, Betty Pryor, and her running mate. I believe they were looking for $25,000.
Did she and Joe Lazar get the money, Marlowe?
No, they... Hey, Remini, how did you know the man with Betty was named Joe Lazar?
Haven't you heard? I'm a good reporter, Marlowe, the kind that keeps eyes and ears open and mouth shut. It isn't until I know the whole story.
Which, as far as you're concerned, is precisely what?
That I happen to be...
You happen to be?
That I happened to be in Dave's restaurant early this evening, where I recognized the only other cash customer as Joe Lazar, an out-of-work mobster from Detroit. He said something to Betty that scared her right out of a tray of dishes, so I figured I'd find out what was going on. I've been in on the show ever since.
Yeah, including a corny blackout up at 2000 Beechwood Drive where you lost your hat running away from a bullet.
That's right.
Yeah.
And just so you don't toss and turn when you get around to going to bed tonight, I'll fill in the rest. I followed Betty and Dave from the restaurant to their apartment. I watched her get rid of Dave, and then when I saw Lazar come in, I moved up close to the window.
And stayed there until Lazar spotted you and threw a bullet your way?
You're very clever.
Yes, I am, man.
But before that happened, I heard him tell Betty that Speck Willard had talked about a girl singer at the Starkiss room named Carla Borden. And that since he didn't know Carla on sight, she could have been the lady he'd seen running out of Speck's apartment with a 25 grand.
Oh. Now that phone book of Dave's open to the bees ties in.
I'm so glad. Now, Marlowe, lest we digress too far, how come this one bureau here hasn't been turned upside down along with everything else?
I don't know. Any more than I know why you're holding back so much from the law.
Well, maybe it's because I don't like cops, Marlowe. Oh, a black one. Or maybe it's because I'm in the same kind of racket as you. Chin way out and a lot of fast talk, just so papers can know what's going on an hour ahead of the rest of the world. Well, there's no $25,000 in here. I got to blow.
Before Ibarra shows?
Before Ibarra shows. He always arrives with an entourage, Marlowe, one that includes other news hounds. So it's me for a fast cab in downtown and my paper with a story. Go on, fellow. See you around.
Hey, wait a minute, Remini.
Yeah?
I'll give you a lift. I'm going that way myself.
Okay.
I got a story, too. A lousy story I've got to tell a nice guy named Dave. Come on. All the time we drove, Remini half-faced me and smoked one cigarette after another while he rattled on about Joe Lazar. The great story he had and a lot of other things I didn't hear because I was busy trying to find the right words with which to tell Dave Pryor that his wife was no good. So when we were about halfway to
I got
Beechwood
it,
Drive and Remini, who was
call it
pushing
in.
close to his deadline, decided to get out and phone his story in from a drugstore, I was glad.
So long, Marlowe.
A second after that, I knew I was kidding myself. Because even with just silence for company, I was still no place with the right words. 10 minutes later, when I stood in front of Dave on the steps to his house and stammered out the facts just as I had run across them, I forgot about words, right or wrong. I thought instead about my client, a badly hurt guy, but one who would never say die.
Marlowe, I can't believe all this. I won't. Tell me, where's Betty now?
I don't know, Dave. Now, look, maybe we ought to head for police headquarters, because sooner or later we're each going to have a story to tell Lieutenant Ibarra. Come on, my car's over here.
Okay, Phil. I guess that's the only thing to do, all right.
Yeah, I guess so. Here. Better have a cigarette, Dave.
Oh, thanks.
Kid, we'll try to make this as painless as we...
As we what, Marlowe? What is it?
Hmm?
Well, what are you staring at?
Front seat.
But I don't see anything, Phil. What is it? What
Shut
are you
up,
staring
Dave. Shut up. Give me a minute, will you? Yeah. Yeah, sure. Come on, Dave. Pile in.
But why, Marlowe? Where are we going?
Darkest room to play a long shot. Slapped my foot down hard on the accelerator and kept it that way right through a string of I didn't care what color traffic lights until 5 minutes later when we screeched to a stop, away from the side entrance to the Starkist room. I left Dave in the front seat, piled out fast, and ran a dozen yards to an abrupt halt. At the sight of something that turned the long shot I was playing into an odds-on favorite. It was the stage entrance door, open a couple of inches, and in front of that, and unconscious on the hard sidewalk where he'd fallen, was the clad in blue form of a private patrolman, his pistol holster conspicuously empty. Inside, I slowly picked my way along an L-shaped corridor until I saw a shaft of bright yellow from a flashlight. It was moving away from a door marked Carla Borden. It brought me up short and flat against the wall. But then as the man on the other end of the beam of light moved away from me, I got a very steady grip on the .38 in my pocket and started after him. A minute later, he entered the main room of the club, and it was there, as he started across the glass-ceiling dance floor, that I recognized the very self-confident gait of a very self-confident guy. And that made the next move mine. Bar's closed, Remini, and don't move, Buster, or I'll blow your head off. Ah. Looks like you're making news this time, good reporter. Or isn't that package in your hand the 25 grand you just found in Carla Borden's dressing room, huh? The same Carla Borden you murdered not an hour ago in an apartment on Lucerne, where you first thought the money was, where Betty Pryor surprised you before you could finish searching, where you later returned in the role of an all-American newsboy so you could get to that last bureau.
All right. I've heard enough, Marlowe. But I'm not going to stick around for more details.
You make a break and I'll shoot, Remini.
Try it, Eagle.
Stop, Remini, stop!
Marlowe.
Nice shooting, Marlowe. But don't turn around because where I'm standing it's dark, and where you're standing it's light. Now throw your gun away, fella. Come on, toss it. That's better. All right, Betty. Get over to that dead newspaper guy and get the money. And we'll take care of the private detective here.
What do you mean, take care, Joe? I can't go along with murder.
Spec Willard's death didn't seem to bother you any.
Shut up, Marlowe.
Spec Willard. Joe, you killed...
Yes, I killed Spec. That Welcher. 8 o'clock tonight. And I had to stay undercover, but still get my hands on the money. So I came to you for help. I didn't tell you about the killing because I didn't think you'd play ball if you knew about it. Now, all that's history now, and I'll still go to your dear husband, Dave, and talk lots about the kind of cheap kid you used to be in Detroit if you don't get moving. Now, what do you say, Betty?
I say no, Joe. I also say I made a mistake in the first place, letting you use me to run your filthy errands. Just so the guy I love wouldn't have to know about the kind of people I once ran around with. Before I had any brains.
All right. If that's the dumb way you want it, that's the dumb way it'll be. And taking care of 2 years is much harder than taking care of one.
What about 3, Lazar?
Dave, stay back!
No, Marlowe, no. I've stayed back too long already. I've stayed back while Betty has been risking her life to protect what we've got.
If you take another step, I'll shoot, kid. I warned you for the last time. Stay back.
No, Lazar, I won't.
You think it's gun, Lazar?
Oh, Dave, you're hit.
Yeah. But I'll be all right. I'll be all right now, Betty.
Dr. Reese, Dr. Reese, please report to surgery.
Well, Mrs. Pryor,
Dr. Reese,
Marlowe, the doctor says
report
Dave's
to
going to be
surgery.
fine in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Caught one on the shoulder, the other on the hip.
He certainly had courage, didn't he?
Yeah, and you did all right, too, Betty. Mixing in this whole mess just to keep the home fires burning. Tell me, whatever made you think that a guy like Dave wouldn't understand that you turned over a new leaf?
Well,
Dr. Reese wanted in
I
surgery.
don't know, Phil. I guess I wasn't very smart.
No, you weren't, Mrs. Pryor, but you're lucky because Marlowe here was. And that brings me around to a loose end, Phil. How did you know that Remini was your man?
All right. Because of something I saw in the upholstery of the front seat of my car he borrowed. Tufts of snow-white Angora, which was the kind of sweater that Carla Borden had on when she was murdered, after they struggled.
And since you didn't touch the body yourself, they couldn't have come from your suit.
No. And Remini was the only other one who had been in my car. So I figured that the Angora fuzz had gone from Carla's sweater to Remini's suit to my upholstery. All of which means that Remini must have been in Carla's room before I got there as well as after. See? And then once I thought back about his getting out of my car to phone his story in, I realized that when I dropped him near a drugstore, he had also been near the Starkist room.
Yes. That's exactly where he'd headed.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Phil, Joe and I followed both of you from Carla Borden's place because, well, after Joe put you in that elevator and we ran, Joe said we had to return and wait for Remini, who was sure to come back and finish his search.
And the whole business because Lazar, after he had murdered Speck Willard, was afraid to publicly go after Carla Borden, and the money he felt was his.
Yes. He knew about me and Dave because Speck Willard accidentally dropped into our place this morning.
Correction, baby.
What?
Yesterday morning.
Oh.
It's now 9 a.m. Oh. And a good time to call quits, huh? Good night, kids. Well, by the time I got back to my apartment on Franklin, it was 10:30 in the too bright morning. I was sporting sandpaper eyelids and a knot in the small of my back that felt like a wet dish rag. Oh, but once I had all the shades down and was undressed and in bed, I forgot about that. And I thought instead of the wood nymph dressed in nothing, with a veil of dewdrops. But then suddenly I stopped. The telephone. I got out of bed. I picked it up with both hands, opened the dresser drawer, and jammed it deep under all the socks I owned. And then I got back to bed. And the wood nymph, in her veil of dewdrops, she was pirouetting from one huge bluebell to another. Oh, my. On gossamer wings.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, created by Raymond Chandler, stars Gerald Moore, and is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Dinelli, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Virginia Gregg as Betty Pryor, Peter Leeds as Dave Pryor, Harry Bartell as Van Remini, and Ed Begley as Joe Lazar. Lieutenant Detective Ibarra was played by Jeff Corey. The special music was by Richard O'Runt. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
It was a hunt through a jungle of city streets, with danger waiting at every intersection, until halfway through, when the hunters became the hunted, and death brought an end to the game.
Colemans visiting Jack Benny, plus Amos and Andy, Eve Arden, and Helen Hayes as a hillbilly. Yes, that earlier announcement about CBS programs tomorrow night sounded great, didn't it? Except you Philip Marlowe fans may have been wondering, isn't there a mystery show among that great Sunday night 10 on CBS? Of course there is. one of the great detectives in the mystery world, Dashiell Hammett's one and only Sam Spade. Sam will be here, hard-hitting, fast-moving as always, tomorrow night on most of these same CBS network stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Crime does not pay.
Yes?
Mr. Powers? Yeah?
Yes, this is Powers.
You will follow instructions as agreed?
Oh, yes. What are they?
You will come to the southwest corner of Jackson and Carter at precisely midnight in your car. You will be met there and you will be given directions. What is the license number of your auto, please?
3Y5989.
Ah, very, very, very good. Now, one more matter. You will have with you the agreed amount of money in small unmarked bills. You understand, of course, in a transaction such as this, we cannot accept your check.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you'll hear Imported Headache, starring Joseph Buloff. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Joseph Buloff as Walter Dryden in Imported Headache. Most crimes are a cross between a jigsaw puzzle and a piece of tangled cord. The criminal must fit all the pieces of his crime together in the planning period, and the police must untangle the skein of cord from whatever single loose end they may discover. The perfect example of this is Walter Dryden, a German of Nazi extraction, one might say. Walter was thorough in his planning, perhaps a little too thorough for the tastes of his hoodlum assistants, Harry Soapsmith and Bob Lake.
All right, Harry. Stop here.
Okay, if you say so, boss.
I thought so. Ain't nothing around here but an empty road, boss. I will do the defending. You will execute. That is the arrangement.
Sure. Okay, but maybe we'd like to know how this fits together.
Yeah.
First, we all go to drugstores and buy 10-cent bottles of aspirin. Then you send Jersey to slap a couple of cops' uniforms from a costume place. What's aspirin got to do with cops' outfits?
Yeah, I don't get it either, boss. Tonight we hijack a truck. I mean,
it is not necessary for you to know. The less you know, the better.
Well, you could tell us something, boss.
Very, very well, then. I will tell you this much. I'm subject to headaches, so you buy for me the aspirin. And I think Dr. J.C. will be very handsome policeman. As for the truck, I have a deal in mind. To do this business, a truck is necessary. So we take one. In fact, we take the one now coming around the curve. Americans own too many trucks. So now one American will own one less truck. And we will make money. Money, Harry. Block the road.
Right.
What if he don't see us? He sees us. He stops now. Harry, stay at the wheel. Captain, I will take care of this. I understand, Buck, you have had some experience driving trucks.
Yeah, I used to. Hey, get that tire jalopy out of the road.
We cannot for the moment. You will be patient, please.
You want a hand, shover?
Aha! It will be a pleasure to accept your assistance.
Okay. What's the matter? The engine got that on you?
Well, that engine's okay. It sounds like a watch. All right, Bop. As you say. Nothing.
Hey, what the
There
we are.
Excellent. Now then, push this so powerful young American into the ditch. On his face, I would prefer to.
You know, boss, sometimes I think you rub it in just a little bit too much.
You think with what? Now then, Bob, you will drive the truck. I will ride with Harry. You will follow us at approximately 40 yards and will follow the signals on the back of the car for turns. Now we have a truck. We have aspirin and we have uniforms. We are ready. From now on, you will see why they call me Walter Eisweit Driving. 1, 2, 3, and we will have money. Money, Harry.
Handle that for me, Miss Gold. And have the shipping room check the orders from Golden Drugs and Matson Stores. Now then, Mr. Drybin.
We have a proposition, Mr. Powers. A proposition dealing with aspirin. Excellent aspirin. Direct from the manufacturer in Germany.
No. Real German aspirin?
Made by the original manufacturer. Now back in business.
Import duty on that stuff's pretty high.
There has been no duty paid on this shipment. You see, I have connections in Germany.
Well, then how did you get it in... Oh, I understand. I'm not sure I care to do business with you, Mr. Drybin.
No one except the three of us and the driver of my truck needs to know that this shipment was duty-free.
Keep talking, Mr. Drybin.
You will have quite a shipment for your regular customers at a cost to you of approximately 30 cents on the dollar.
How do I know the product is certified pure?
A sample, Mr. Powers.
The label's authentic enough. The contents?
Will stand analysis, Mr. Powers.
All right. As long as the stuff is pure, why not? I'll buy as much as you have.
A truckload, Mr. Powers. A trailer truck, sir.
Well, now, that's a lot of aspirin. What's the price?
I will notify you when the shipment is ready. You will, of course, accept my inventory.
I have to, I guess.
Very, very well. In a few days, I will call you, and at that time I will advise you where delivery will be made and how much the shipment will cost you.
Yes?
Mr. Powers? Yeah?
This is Powers.
You will follow instructions as agreed?
Oh, yes. What are they?
You will come to the southwest corner of Jackson and Carter, precisely midnight in your car. You will be met there and you will be given directions. What is the license number of your auto, please?
3Y5989.
Ah, very, very well. One more matter, please. You will have the agreed amount of money in small, unmarked bills. You understand, of course, in a transaction such as this, we cannot accept your check.
Yes, I understand. One thing, we haven't yet agreed on how much. You said that...
Yes. Excuse me, of course. The price is $5,000.
That's a lot of aspirin.
I'm given to understand Americans have a lot of headaches.
Mr. Powers, good evening. Or is it good morning, to be precise?
Morning, Drybin. Your associate takes no chances. He blindfolded me at Carter and Jackson, wouldn't let me take the darn thing off until we were just outside this place.
Harry is very thorough.
Yes.
He learned that from me. But, Harry, you did not make Mr. Powers any more uncomfortable. That was absolutely necessary.
Oh, no, boss. Of course not.
Very good, very good. My apologies for any inconveniences, Mr. Powers. But these precautions are necessary. You see, there have been cases of men reneging on a transaction and causing much trouble.
Don't worry about that. I'm in this almost as deeply as you are.
Oh, yes, that is so.
This is the truck?
A large one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Full load?
You doubt it? Harry, open the truck.
Right, boss.
Well, now, look, you don't have to go to all this trouble for me.
My word has been doubted. Now you must have proof.
It's open, boss.
Select a carton, Harry. Any carton.
You've sure got it packed to the roof.
How's this one, boss?
Very good. Open the carton.
Check.
I don't see any custom house stamps on this carton, Reverend.
No? But you will see inside the carton. Well, so?
That's the stuff, all right.
Very well, then. Harry, put back the carton and close the truck.
Check, boss.
And now, Powers, the money, if you please.
Here? Why not at my warehouse?
I deliver to you here. I accept no responsibility for delivery, except to permit my man to drive the truck. I must be paid now.
All right. If you insist.
I insist.
Here you are. 5,000. Nothing larger than a 20.
Thank you, Mr. Powers.
Don't you want to count it?
I take your word, Mr. Powers. Come. Harry will drive. We will follow in your car.
Well, now, don't you want the address of my warehouse?
But we know that already, Mr. Powers.
Oh.
Walter Dryden is very thorough. He always knows all about his customers before he begins to do the business with them. Your American roads are efficient, Mr. Powers. Not, of course, as well planned as our Autobahn, but efficient nevertheless.
As an exponent of the nation where efficiency is a household god, I'll take that as a compliment, Driver.
You may say so. Quick. The brakes. The truck is slowing down.
What's going on up there?
Patience, Mr. Powers. No doubt we shall know it in a moment.
Why should we have to stop on this road at this hour? In our headlights. Driving, those are cops. Come on.
Wait a minute here. Hurry up now. Make it snappy. Let's see what's in that truck.
Okay, officer. Going as fast as I can. I ain't no machine, you know.
Little tongue in your head, you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Officer, what's the meaning of this? Who are you? That's my car.
Open carton here. Aspirin, imported. No custom house stamp. This is the load, Joe.
What load, if I may ask, officer?
These roads have all been posted. We're watching for a load of smuggled aspirin. And this is it. You'll have to come with us, all of you.
Now, tell me, officers, is it possible there might be some way to, smooth this small difficulty?
What are you driving at, Bob?
One truck more or less. Who would know?
Sounds like it's tempting to bribe an officer to me.
Driven, please. Perhaps we better not do
Leave this to me. How much more money do we have on you?
About 1,000. Maybe a little more.
Very well. Gentlemen, if I may suggest it, a wallet found on the road with say, $2,000 in it. Just found there, over there. After we have driven off. This could not be construed as a bribe.
Well, could be. Yeah. Could be.
Thank you, gentlemen. Close up the van, Harry. Drive on slowly. Mr. Powers, I will put up 1,000 if you will. No further trouble.
Well, if I have any trouble, I could lose my license. Okay. Well, there's mine.
And mine. In this wallet. And so on the road. Let us go, Mr. Powers, before these fine gentlemen change their minds.
Best $1,000 I ever spent in my life.
How'd you like that, Bob?
Slick, that guy Wallace. Slick as oil.
And that sucker Powers. Yikes, Jesse, but he's been thinking beautiful. $6,000 for a phony bribe and a stolen truck. A stolen truck loaded with 1 carton of drugstore-bought aspirin and the rest empty as a sucker's in. Jesse, my boy, I'd wear a cop's outfit for Walter driving any day for what's going to be our share of this little job.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Imported Headache. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Joseph Buloff as Walter Dryden in Imported Headache. The jigsaw puzzle was complete. 1 truck, 1 carton of aspirin, 1 buyer eager for a special bargain, 2 imitation policemen. Total take $6,000. There was great glee at Walter Dryden's headquarters later that eventful morning.
Hey, fellas, do I make a good cop or do I make a good cop? Keep a civil tongue in your head, Bob.
All right, men. Now, the serious business. Our first split, as you say in America.
And what do they say in Dutchland, boy?
In the fatherland, we do not waste time on idle laughter. Now, then, I have here $6,000 in American money.
That much he likes about America.
Now, enough of this nonsense. As agreed, I receive half. The remainder is divided equally among the 3 of you. Therefore, 3,000 to me, 1,000 to each of you.
Hey, thanks, boy.
Yeah, thanks.
Me too. That's the easiest grant I ever picked up in my life.
Yeah.
Easy. Maybe too easy.
How so, Harry?
Well, suppose his Powers character talks.
The good Mr. Powers will not talk. Americans never admit they're suckers.
If they get mad enough?
Nonsense. After all, what did he get for his $6,000? 1 stolen truck? 1 carton of aspirin? 1 release from imitation policemen? No. Our good friend will not talk.
Look, Mr. Powers, you don't seem to realize the position you're in.
All I know, Lieutenant, is that I bought something. I didn't get what I paid for, but I did have a, valuable experience, period.
I think you'd better talk, Mr. Powers.
Lieutenant Coulter, I don't think I like your tone.
You like our jail even less.
On what charge?
Possession of a stolen truck and a pinch theft of that truck. Your arrest won't help your reputation any, and we can prove possession of that truck. Possession of stolen goods, in other words. So let's stop kidding, Powers. You have a duty as a citizen, and you're going to do that duty.
Nobody likes to admit he's been a fool, Lieutenant.
Not even to catch the man who made a fool of him?
Walter Dryden has disappeared. Vanished.
Dryden. Sounds German.
Yes, plenty. Saber scar and all. Acts and talks like a real Nazi.
About 5'10", broad shoulders, brown hair, and blue eyes. Behaves like a Prussian officer.
Yes, that's a good description.
Several agencies are interested in him, including the Immigration Service.
Illegal entry?
We have reason to believe so.
This is a big country, Lieutenant. You'll never find him.
Won't we? Look, Powers, you've finally given us an end of the cord. We've a neat mess to untangle, but with patience, I think we'll get him.
Yeah?
May I speak to Walter Dryden, please?
Who wants him?
David Carr of Carr & Sons, Wholesale Drugs.
I'll see if he's here.
Hey, boss. Carr of Carr & Sons wants to talk to you.
Ah, so a big concern. I will talk. Walter Dryden here? How do you do, Mr. Carr?
Well, thank you. Mr. Dryden, I understand you have a lot of aspirin.
I'm subject to headaches, Mr. Carr.
Aspirin for sale cheap.
How would you know this?
It's my business to know things like this.
Ah, I see. And you would like to engage in a transaction with me?
If the price is right, yes, and the product. We're a very reputable concern, Mr. Dryden.
I know. I've heard of you.
Will you be good enough to call on us with a sample?
I shall be delighted, Mr. Carr. Tomorrow, let us say, at 11 o'clock.
I'll be expecting you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Carr. The fish are biting.
What you use for bait?
Let it be known in certain quarters that bargains are, shall we say, obtainable at a price. Well, now, let us start our proceeding. It will be necessary, as usual, to find a suitable truck.
Carr speaking.
Dryden here. Tomorrow night.
What time? Where?
Midnight. Seaforth and West Fillmore.
Very well.
And have the money with you in small unmarked bills. Understand?
So this is your warehouse, Dryden.
And this is the truck, Mr. Carr. Packed completely, floor to roof, with the products you're paying for.
May I see some of it, please?
Oh. Harry, open a carton for Mr. Carr.
Check.
Harry is the driver of the truck. He will precede us to your warehouse.
There you are, Mr. Carr. Genuine imported aspirin.
So I see. All right, Dryden, let's get going. Dryden, I must admit I admire your enterprise.
Thank you, Mr. Carr.
For some reason, I have the impression that you haven't been in our country very long.
No, not too long.
You certainly have caught on to our ways, or seem to have.
It is an ancient expression. Do as the Romans. To which I add, America is the land of golden opportunity. Quite golden, nicht wahr?
For all of us in a deal like this.
You do so.
I suppose it's none of my business, but I would like to know. How did you happen to come to America?
Mr. Carr, when one sees opportunity die in one's fatherland, one seeks success in other places. I came here. There was a small, as you say, nest egg, which I successfully had placed here before the war against just such a contingency. Quite simple.
My admiration increases as you speak. Go on.
As for my entry through the golden portals, that was accomplished. Now let us leave it at that.
In other words, it's none of my business.
Slow down, Mr. Carr. Harry's flashing the lights on the truck.
So I notice. Something wrong up there?
Perhaps an accident along the road. It is well to stop for such things.
We'll know before very long.
All right, Bob, open up the truck. We want to see what you got in there.
Okay, officer, of course.
Smoke, cop. Let's see what's up, Dryden.
Of course.
Yeah, this is the stuff, all right. Yeah, aspirin and no custom house stamp. These fellas with you, Bob?
Look, I just drive a truck. I don't ask no questions. I'm working for him.
Which one of you owns this truck?
I do, officer.
All right, let's see the registration.
Don't you think, gentlemen, we can talk this over?
Yes, all you gentlemen will remain where you are. And the headlights of my car and Lieutenant Counterspy.
The sucker's got a gun. Hey, he's no sucker. He's a cop.
Work car, all four of them. Right, Lieutenant. Including our nasty friend here with his contempt for the efficiency of America.
Oh, a government spy. A trap.
Why not? You should know about these things, Dryden, known as Alex Tribal, wanted for war crime. No doubt about him, Collister. That saber scar would mark him anyplace.
Hey, boss, were you a Nazi?
This surprises you, Harry.
Hey, look, Lieutenant, Mr. Carr, me and Pop and Jersey, we don't know anything except about the aspirin.
We'll sing, Lieutenant. We'll give you the word.
Thanks, boys, but Investigator Matson here of the Immigration Service has plenty on your boss.
Plenty. Mind if I take him directly, Lieutenant?
Not at all.
Well, then, with due thanks to your Detective Carr, Walter Dryden, alias Alex Tribal, you're under federal arrest, charged with illegal entry into the United States.
For the thanks you take me. I do not think it off. First, you will capture him.
Where's he going? What's the hoodlum? Blackton, he went to the truck. All right, you three. Down. Lie down fast. Okay. Don't hurry, Hollister. Watch. Truck starts slowly, Hollister, but a bullet in the tire will ruin him every time. All right, let's dig him out of that cab, shall we? I doubt if he's hurt very much. And maybe that's too bad as far as Mr. Nazi driving is concerned.
Crime does not pay. Joseph Buloff, who was starred as Walter Dryden in Imported Headache, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Joseph Buloff.
Criminals like Walter Dryden operate their schemes on 2 points. They believe first that all Americans are ashamed to admit when they have been taken. Second, that most of us give in very easily to the temptation of an easy dollar, even though the business involved may be somewhat on the shady side. In fact, the success of much of our organized crime is based on exactly the same ideas. It follows, then, that when we ourselves wake up and cease to aid and abet this kind of criminal, however unconsciously we may be doing so now, we will have taken a long step toward removing the profit from crime of all kinds. It is up to us ourselves to make sure that at all times, in all ways, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Buloff. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. And now, Gangbusters presents the case of the Red Hot Readers and how New York detectives cooled them off. Despite a $2 pearl necklace, a teenage transgressor, and a misused ice pick. The International Association of Chiefs of Police begins its 56th annual conference in Dallas, Texas tomorrow. The splendid work of this fine organization is best exemplified by the growing cooperation of federal, state, city, and village police departments in holding crime to a minimum. Congratulations and best wishes for the coming year from Gangbusters. The Honorable John J. Sullivan, former Chief of Detectives and Deputy Police Commissioner of the City of New York, who was scheduled to narrate tonight's case, is attending this meeting of the nation's top law enforcement officers. So suppose we begin tonight's case in the city of New York one Saturday morning in September just about a year ago. A boy and a girl of high school age wander aimlessly through the aisles of a huge 5 and 10 cent store on the Upper West Side. They were just looking, and at the moment the jewelry counter seemed to catch their attention.
Hey, look at these pearls.
Oh, come on.
Oh, they're beautiful.
They're fake. Put them down, Ellie.
Of course they're fake, but they look real.
Come on, Ellie, will you?
Price tag says $2. Hey, aren't they gorgeous, Mike?
I don't notice anything particular gorgeous. Come on.
I want them, Mike.
Oh, Ellie.
I want them.
This ain't fair, Ellie. We could swipe something we can both use.
I want the pearls.
Ellie.
Is the coast clear?
Yeah, the coast is clear.
All right. Let's go, Mike.
Oh, he's fair, Ellie. Everything we swipe is for you.
Easy. Don't work so fast.
Yeah. It ain't fair.
Okay, then, Mike, from now on, you don't have to come with me. I'll swipe things for myself.
Oh, now, Ellie, I didn't mean it. Oh, you know what I mean. Once in a while, couldn't it be something I could use?
All right. Next time. Go on, Mike. Get on the street.
Yeah.
Go on, Mike.
Okay, all right. I was just being polite.
Oh, well, chalk up another job.
Let's get away from here.
What are you afraid of?
Come on.
Honest to goodness, Mike, you think
That's
this
a
was
fast sack, kid.
Wait, a cop. Let go of me. Come on, Ellie. Run. Mike!
No, you don't.
Mike!
Hold still, kid.
Let go.
Let's have those pearls.
What pearls?
The ones you took out of the store. Come on, give.
I don't know what you're talking about. Let go of me.
Hey, you've got lots of fire, haven't you, kid?
I don't know anything about any pearls.
Come on, I saw you lift them off the counter.
Okay, Mr. Store Detective. You don't scare me. I've been in jail before.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, a couple of times. So what? Here. Here's your pearls. Go on, lock me up.
What's your name?
Supposing I don't want to tell you.
You called Jelly.
Ellie, yeah. Ellie Smith.
That's original.
Go on, lock me up if you're gonna. Don't stand here.
You have got lots of fire, kid. Lots of fire. A 15-year-old.
16.
All right, come along.
You don't have to pull me, copper.
Oh, let's get one thing straight right now. I'm not a cop.
I know you're not a city cop. You're a lousy, crawling store dick.
I'm not even that.
No?
No.
And what are you sticking your nose in?
Because I'm interested.
Well, I ain't interested. Let me go.
Now, watch out for kids like you. When I see one with such fire and little guts, show them how to do okay.
Yeah?
Do you want to make some real money, Ellie?
What do I have to do?
Nothing much. It's not even as hard as snatching pearls from a dime store.
No?
Yeah. Here's your pearls back. You can keep them.
Well, thanks. You haven't told me what I gotta do for all this money.
It's not much, I told you. Come on, Ellie. It'll all get explained to you.
I don't know whether I trust you, mister.
Pops. All the kids call me Pops.
Oh, what kids?
You'll find out.
Okay, Pops. Let's go.
Ellie, I think you're a find. A real find.
I agree with you.
Come on. I'm dying for Sarah to meet you.
Who's Sarah?
Ah, Sarah. Sarah's the apple of my eye. Right this way, Ellie.
Yes? Who is it?
It's me, Pops. And a friend.
All right.
Hello, Sarah.
Get in there.
Come on in, Ellie.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Sarah, this is Ellie. Ellie, Sarah.
How do you do? Go on over and sit down.
Isn't she a pretty young thing, Sarah?
That's not the point.
She wants to make some money. Isn't that right, Ellie?
That's right, Pops. Pops, come in here with me a minute.
Sarah.
Come on.
You wait here a minute for me, Ellie. We got to discuss a thing or two.
All right. But hurry.
Just make yourself comfortable, Ellie. I won't be long.
Okay, get inside.
What's the matter with you? Ain't you a sweet young thing, Sarah?
Too sweet.
Oh, Sarah.
We need 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds for this job. They're not suspicious of 13-year-olds. You know that.
She's young, Sarah. She's just well-developed.
Too well-developed.
Listen, I caught her shoplifting. She's got no folks. She lives with an aunt. She's just right.
For who?
Sarah, believe me. I got no personal interest.
Well, all right. I suppose she'll have to do. Kids are getting scarce.
She'll be all right, Sarah. Believe me. She'll be one of the best we ever had. Hello, Daly.
Clark, just get in?
Yeah, stepped off the train.
How was Hollywood?
Very Hollywoodish, Daly. Inspector in?
Yeah, he's there. Go on in.
Hello, Inspector.
Well, welcome home, Mr. Clark. You ready to come back to work on the forgery squad? Or do you want another vacation visiting Hollywood royalty?
There wasn't any vacation, Inspector. I had to be in court every day of the trial.
Well, let's compromise and say you were forced into a vacation by means of a subpoena. But you earned it, Mr. Clark.
Oh, thanks, Inspector.
Now, here's what I want you to do.
Oh, wait a minute, Inspector. I just got off the train. I haven't been home.
Well, leave your suitcase here and pick it up later. I want you on this right now.
Oh? Something heavy?
Heavy enough. Do you happen to remember those express money orders that were stolen in Philadelphia last spring?
Yes, I think I do. It was some load of them, wasn't it? A couple of thousand blanks?
4,000 in some blank money orders. They're being forged and shoved all over New York.
Oh?
Man and woman seem to be the ringleaders. They've been working all over the 5 boroughs. They pick up kids in one neighborhood at a time. Kids cash the money orders and they move on. We've gotten several of the kids, but they can't help us.
Not at all?
Just with descriptions. It seems this Pop and Sarah, that's the couple, operate on the theory that we'll grab the kids they use so they don't use them very long.
And there's no other lead?
We've been working, Mr. Clark, all of us. But I'm afraid we're now too close to the forest to see the trees. It's my feeling that perhaps a New York detective who has spent the last 6 weeks on the Hollywood front might be the one to see a few trees. What's your feeling?
Well, maybe you're right, Inspector. I'll try.
And, Mr. Clark, please take along any ideas you happen to have acquired from either Metro, Goldwyn, or Mayer.
Look for a place to park, Sarah. Any place around here.
You didn't answer my question, Pops.
What question was that?
You know what question.
You mean about the girl, Ellie?
I mean about the girl.
Oh,
Ellie.
now, Sarah, she's working hard. Better work a few more days.
The rule we made was we don't have the kids push the money orders for more than 2 days before we get rid of them. That was the rule we made. So get rid of her.
There. Pull into that spot.
Well?
She's got fire, Sarah. You have to admit she's got fire.
She's also got big brown eyes and pretty legs.
Oh, now, Sarah, I'm old enough to be Ellie's father.
You're also old enough to be my father.
That may be so, but I don't show it. Listen, Sarah, the girl is smart. She's an operator. She shoves those checks like she was doing it all her life.
Her time is up. Get rid of her.
I think it'd be a good idea to make Ellie a permanent member of the organization.
You will over my dead body.
Sarah, I do believe you're jealous.
I'm jealous, all right, and get that silly smirk off your face.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Jealous of a schoolgirl.
She goes, Pops. That's all there is to it.
All right, I'll think about it.
There's nothing to think about. She goes.
Listen, Sarah. Oh, there she is. Drive the car once around the block and pick us up.
Why?
Policeman. Did you ever hear of policeman? Will you drive the car around a block? Ellie! Hello, Ellie.
Hiya, Pops.
How'd it go, my dear?
As good as yesterday. Better than the day before.
No questions asked?
What kind of questions?
Hey, mister, my father said run down and get a pack of cigarettes and ask the man to please cash his money order for him. It's an express money order, mister. Ain't a cinch.
Ellie, you're truly a wonder.
Am I, Pops?
Have you got all the dough?
Every cent.
Ah, you're a wonder, all right, Ellie.
So I become a permanent member of the organization like you said?
Well...
Do I, Pops?
There's lots of things to consider, Ellie. You're so young, and you need a lot of experience.
But I'm pretty. You said so.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you're pretty. But there's still lots of things to consider.
Like Sarah.
Well, Sarah is kind of stubborn.
I don't care a hoot for Sarah, neither do you.
Oh, of course I care for Sarah.
But not so much as you care for little me. Isn't that right, Pops?
Ellie, if we're going to work this thing to make you a permanent member of the organization, I mean, we're going to have to be smart about it.
Oh, I can be smart, Pops. Awful smart.
Yeah, Ellie. That's a good girl. You be smart about it. And leave Sarah to me. Come on, let's get in the car. We mustn't keep her waiting.
Of course we mustn't.
Well, Gangbusters listeners, a gang of criminals has little enough chance for success when everything goes smoothly. But when two members are in conflict, their chances diminish still more. Detectives of the New York City Forgery Squad were quite busy attempting to trace the gang which forged stolen express money orders and passed them at neighborhood stores. A few mornings later, Detective Clark walked into the office of Inspector Hayes.
Morning, Inspector.
Well, good morning, Mr. Clark. You been able to see any trees yet?
Maybe, Inspector. We think we've got a lead.
You don't say. What, for instance?
The 32nd Squad had a report of a girl missing from home for 4 days. she answers the description of one of the kids who's been shoving money orders this week.
I don't see any trees, Mr. Clark.
Well, this girl has been picked up a couple of times for shoplifting. Been a hard-to-handle kid, no folks. Lived with her aunt.
That's still rather remote.
Yes, I know it is. The aunt gave detectives in the precinct a picture of this Ellie Parker. We borrowed it from them. Kelly's out now showing it to some of the merchants who got bitten this week.
I wish you luck, Mr. Clark. But this Pop and Sir have been dropping the kids after a day or so. Excuse me a second.
Of course.
Inspector Hayes speaking. Yes, I see. He's right here. Do you... All right. I'll tell him. Bye.
Was that something for me, Inspector?
Yes, Mr. Clark. That was Mr. Kelly. He's seen the trees.
Oh?
He wants you out at the 32nd Precinct squad room right away. He has a merchant there who identifies the picture of the girl as the one who shoved a check on him. Don't let me keep you, Mr. Clark.
120, 130, 140, 45.
Good work, Kelly.
50,
Hey, that's well, Sarah.
Wonderful. $154.11. Now, can you order me a drink?
What kind of trouble are you looking for? They don't serve drinks to kids.
You didn't have any trouble in any of the stores. Nobody questioned the checks.
Who questions money orders? Can I have my part of it now?
Yes, Annie, my dear, of course.
Just a minute, Pop.
What's that?
Tell her.
Oh, Sarah.
Tell her?
Tell me what?
Waste time, Sarah.
Tell her now.
Yeah, tell me now. I'd like to hear it.
Well, Annie, my dear, we decided it's getting a little dangerous.
What's getting a little dangerous?
1 or 2 days at most is all we ever had a kid shoving the checks.
Oh. Suppose I don't want to quit.
It's for your own protection, Ellie. You wouldn't want to land up in jail, would you?
And that's where you're headed if you keep it up. That's where we'll all be headed.
Yeah, you've got to be smart about this, Ellie.
Sure, Pops, I gotta be smart. Well, I told you I know how to be smart. I had enough. I'm through.
Yeah, didn't I tell you, Sarah? She's a quick kid.
Yeah, awful quick. You better go home and stay there, Ellie. That's the place for you.
First, I want to get paid off. I want what I got coming.
Go on, Pops. Give her what she's got coming.
Sure. I'll give her.
I want my things. I got my things at your place. I want to go there and get them.
That won't be necessary. I'll get them for you. You wait here. I'll bring your things back.
Sure. I'll wait.
Won't take me 20 minutes.
You don't know how I hated to do this, Ellie, my dear.
Just give me what money I got coming, Pops.
Sarah can't see it my way. Young blood, I say. Young blood is what puts life into an organization.
Well, I was willing to go along. You were willing to have me.
Sarah can be a stubborn woman.
You ask me, she's just plain jealous.
You think so?
Of course I think so. I know so. Let's have the money, Pops.
It's ridiculous. She has nothing to be jealous about. Or, has she?
What do you think, Pops?
But I'm old enough to be your older brother.
I know, Pops, but I happen to like a mature type of man.
Oh, nonsense, my dear.
But it can never be. There's Sarah to consider. Isn't there Sarah to consider?
Well, yes, Ellie, my dear. There's always been Sarah to consider.
It's a shame that she's such a tired old thing. And you're so loyal, isn't it?
Ellie, if there's one thing I am, that's loyal. I'm loyal to my last breath.
Yeah, I know, Pops. That's why I wouldn't even consider suggesting it.
Suggesting what, my dear?
Well, no, it's silly.
What's silly?
Oh, I just had a crazy idea that you and me, the two of us, could work this check racket. You've got plenty of the money orders, haven't you?
Well, of course I got plenty. I broke open the safe in Philadelphia that... Without Sarah, you mean?
Yeah, without Sarah. But it's silly.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's silly.
Of course, I'm so young. Maybe I'm too young. I haven't had the experience that Sarah's had.
But you're smart, Ellie. I told you were smart. And being young is a good thing. There's nothing like you.
You think we could do it?
Of course. If we wanted to. Under my guidance.
Pops, I'd love to have your guidance.
Ellie, suppose we do.
No, Pops, it wouldn't work. And there's Sarah to consider.
I considered her, Ellie. Nuts to Sarah.
There's a kids to line up and everything.
You can line up the kids. You can give them the lowdown, Ellie. You're smart.
I don't know, Pops.
You could. You could line up that boy you were telling me about, that Mike.
Him, he wouldn't be much help. He's just a dumb kid.
He helped you in the shoplifting, didn't he? I could teach him. I could teach him everything.
You think we can make a team, Pops?
Of course, Ellie, of course.
What about Sarah?
Sarah. I'll tell you what, my dear. We're moving again this afternoon. You know how we move all the time, so if any of the kids talk, we can't be traced? You go home. Go back to your aunt's. In a day or two, I'll be ready to disappear.
How can I go home?
Well, you gotta go home. You're gonna line up this Mike, don't you?
I don't know, Pops. Why can't you just disappear with me now?
Well, my dear, Sarah's been the treasure of the organization. She has all the money. I couldn't let her keep all that money, could I?
Oh, no. That wouldn't be fair.
All right. I'll give you the address of our new place. If I don't get in touch with you by Thursday night, you meet me there.
Pops, it'll be wonderful.
Yes, Ellie, my dear. Wonderful. You pardon me if I have a drink on it. Waiter, over here. He's not going in, Inspector. He left Ellie off at the door.
All right, Mr. Clark, get him. This is as good a time as any.
Yes, sir. Kelly's behind it. Oh, he's going to walk back this way.
Very thoughtful of the boy. Nail him as he comes by, Mr. Clark. We'll give him a quick spin.
Right, Inspector. All right, Mike.
Hey, let go.
In the car.
Hey, what's the idea?
Get in there.
Okay. Oh, sharp.
Good evening.
Move over.
What's going on here anyway? I didn't do nothing.
I'm glad we stopped you in time, Mike. Police officer.
Police?
What did Ellie say to you tonight?
Ellie?
Did she tell you she was passing forged and stolen money orders?
Did she?
Now, listen.
What'd she tell you?
Where's she been the last week?
Who was she with?
Hey, fellas.
What do you know about stolen checks?
Wait a minute. Get me all my stuff.
All right, Mike. We won't get you mixed up. Just tell us the whole story.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'm willing to tell you.
Have you been working with Ellie, shoving checks?
No, I haven't. I ain't seen her in a week. Until tonight.
Did she tell you that she was passing stolen checks?
Yeah, she told me.
Somebody named Pops?
Yeah, for somebody named Pops.
And Sarah?
Yeah, and Sarah.
Does she know where they are?
I think so, yeah.
What makes you think so?
She's gonna go back to them. Or him, rather. She wanted me to get into it, too, but I said no. Honest, I said no.
Well, that is the proper attitude, Mike. I hope you will continue the proper attitude by cooperating with us.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll continue the proper attitude. I'll cooperate. I'll do anything you want.
Good. Yeah. Now, Mr. Clark, if you will join Detective Kelly.
Okay, Inspector.
The two of you keep a watch on the girl's house with a view toward following her as she leaves.
We'll be in touch with you, Inspector.
Good. And you and I, Mike, we'll take a ride to Center Street. Talk some more about your proper attitude.
Pops,
Oh, hello, Sarah.
What are you doing with my suitcase? What'd you expect to find in there?
Cufflinks, Sarah. Cufflinks. I didn't know where we packed the cufflinks.
Where are you getting dressed to go? You need cufflinks.
No place, Sarah. I just thought I might need them sometime.
So you're trying to get the lock open with an ice pick. My new $40 suitcase, and you're breaking the lock open with an ice pick to get cufflinks you don't need.
I was bothered where they were.
Give me that ice pick.
Oh, Sarah.
Give it here.
All right. Take it.
Hey, is that your furniture? You can stick an ice pick in it?
Oh, Sarah.
If you wanted to find your cufflinks, why don't you look in the top drawer where I saw you put them?
Is that where they are?
Yeah. The cufflinks are in the drawer, and the money is in the suitcase.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's strange, Sarah. I always wondered where you kept the boodle.
And right now, you were looking to take it and run away with that punk kid Ellie.
Oh, now, Sarah.
I had an idea what you were up to.
All right. You and I are through, Sarah. I'm tired of being tied down to an old hag.
Hag?
That's what I said. I'm taking what's mine and leaving.
A hag, am I?
Sarah.
You want young stuff, do you?
No, Sarah.
Let's see how your Ellie likes you stuck up with an ice pick.
Please, Sarah.
How, huh? How would she like you now?
Well, that was the fate of one criminal. But New York detectives still had a time of it, keeping a tigress from the throat of a vixen.
And your answer, Pops.
Come in, Ellie.
Oh, Sarah.
Come in. Pops let me know he was expecting you.
Oh, he did? Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, very nice. I know the whole story. You do? I was just packing to get out. I was going to leave Pops for you.
Oh, where is he, Sarah?
In there.
Oh, can he come out?
I think it would be better, Ellie, if you went in.
Well, I can wait out here.
Oh, it's all right, Ellie. Come on.
Okay, it's all right.
In there.
This is really very nice of you, Sarah. Understanding everything, I mean.
Oh, I understand everything perfectly, Ellie. Go on in.
Sure. Hello, Pops.
Ellie's yours. Go on in.
You did it.
Sure I did it. How do you like him now?
Well, I guess I did it.
You're not going anyplace, you punk kid. What did you have to mess things up? I'll show you, you punk kid. You're smart, Alec. Punk kid. You didn't need help before, did you?
Please.
Something, I'll show you. I'll show you. Come on, get up.
Punk kid. Smart Alec, punk kid.
All right. Sit down there.
Smart Alec, punk kid.
She killed him. In there, she killed him.
All right, Ellie, calm down.
She was trying to kill me.
Calm down. Nobody's going to hurt you now. At least not any more than you already hurt yourself.
Well, Gangbusters listeners, that was how the final arrests were made in this case. The woman, Sarah Royal, was given a life sentence for second-degree murder. The girl, Ellie, was sent to a reformatory for a term of 5 years. Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Niss and directed by George Zachary, with Santos Ortega, Deli Ellis, and Betty Finesse in leading roles. Olin Ty speaking.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the Women's Army Corps. Our story is entitled, Let the World See You. The story of just one woman who, like thousands of others, discovered new worlds, new experiences, new adventures in serving her country in the United States Army. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first...
Here is a brief word to you young women who graduate from high school this year. Why not get an early start with a job that gives you the feeling of being of real service to your country? You'll enjoy that feeling in the Woman's Army Corps. And you'll be doing a job that will be a little different every day. There are numerous chances of advancement in this newest of services. And you'll be getting the best technical training in the world in the career field in which you are best qualified. So don't let opportunity pass you by. Remember, today, young women between the ages of 18 and 34 can serve their country in a time of great need. Visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station and get all the details now.
And now your Army and your Air Force present the Proudly We Hail production, Let the World See You. The time, well after midnight in early November 1950. The place, Camp Drake, Japan, processing point for incoming and outgoing military personnel in the Far East. In spite of the hour, one yellow light still glows in the Public Information Office. Inside, a girl sits hunched over a sheet of paper, her overseas cap pushed to the back of her head. Ordinarily, PFC Dorothy Miller is ever so trim and tidy. Right now, though, she's alone and too engrossed in a letter she's writing to really care.
Dear Jean, it's been ages since I've written to you. My whole world seems to have changed since I left home with never a dull moment. First basic training, and then Fort Slocum for public information schools, Camp Carson, Colorado, and now Japan. It all happened so fast that I can't believe it. But wait till you hear what happened to me yesterday. I met the most wonderful man. Yesterday was my turn to go into Tokyo for the day. It was all wonderful, from the Emperor's Palace on down, and yet very confusing, especially when I found myself completely lost, right in the middle of the Ginza, Tokyo's main street. Anyway, that's where my wonderful man came in. Bicycles by the thousands, cars going lickety-split down the wrong side of the street, utter confusion. And there was poor me standing right in the middle of it like one of those lambs gone astray and not an empty in sight. And that's when I heard his voice behind me.
Need some help, soldier?
What? I beg your pardon.
Oh, come on now. What's the matter? You lost?
Well, yes, I am a little. This isn't exactly Jefferson Street.
Jefferson Street, where?
Syracuse, New York.
Well, not being in Syracuse at the moment, where would you like to go in Tokyo?
To the WAC quarters.
The WAC quarters?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's great. They're just all over the city.
Oh, well, the one I signed into this afternoon was alongside 2 or 3 other hotels near an army dispensary.
Oh, I know that one. That's way over in that direction.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Wait a minute. You're not going to walk over there.
Well, why not? That's the way I came.
Oh, you get lost again. You better grab a taxi.
You think it's safe?
You couldn't be safer in Syracuse. Have you eaten yet?
Well, no, that's why I want to get back.
You know what time it is? You won't get anything to eat there. You better come with me. We'll get something around the corner at Three Heroes.
But I couldn't. I don't...
Don't worry. You can even buy your own dinner if that'll make you any happier. Come on, let's go.
Oh, this is very nice, Sergeant.
Oh, cut out the sergeant business. My name is McBride, Barney McBride. What's yours?
Dottie Miller.
And you're from Syracuse.
Well, not far from Syracuse. Skinny Atlas.
What?
Skinny Atlas. S-K-A-N-E-A-T-T.
Oh, never mind. What are you doing at Camp Drake?
Well, I'm an information specialist, 3569, if you know what that is.
You send out news and public relations material to civilian agencies, type releases, keep mailing lists up to date, maintain files of photographs and biographical material, conduct interviews, act as a guide for visiting firemen.
Hey, that's enough. You sound like the officers back at school in Fort Slocum.
I'm in radio and television with the Far East Service Command.
Konnichiwa.
Oh, konnichiwa. What do you want to eat, Doc?
I don't know. I can't read the menu.
Well, you like fried shrimp?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Pedro. Shrimp tempura, huh?
Hi.
Oh, and what about sukiyaki as a follow-up?
What's sukiyaki?
You'll like it. 2 sukiyaki, too, Pedro. Understand? For her and for me, shrimp and sukiyaki.
Where did you learn to speak Japanese?
Oh, the Crown Prince and I are buddies.
Oh.
Want to learn?
I'd like to. But I never could do it. Not in 100 years.
Sure you could. I'll give you your first lesson. Here, listen. Repeat after me. Anatawa.
Anatawa.
That's Sergeant McBride.
Yes, Sergeant McBride.
Moichido I Mosha.
Moichido I Mosha.
Yeah, you see, you did fine.
Yes, but what does it mean?
You said, I like you very much, Sergeant McBride. I want to see you again very often.
Oh.
Would you excuse me just a minute? I see a buddy of mine over there. Maybe I can borrow a pack of cigarettes.
Hey, pardon me, miss.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, Corporal, but
I know. You're with Barney McBride. You work with him?
No, what?
How long you known him?
Well, what difference does it make to you, may I ask?
Oh, just curious. I seen him operating around the Daiichi building. He's got quite a way with dames, that guy. You tell you he's going to go to Korea in the morning?
No. But you...
Oh, he's on his way back. I'll see you later.
Well, here I am back again. Mission accomplished. Did you miss me?
I was listening to the music.
Not bad, is it, huh? Sounds better than most of this Japanese stuff I've been hearing around. Here, have a cigarette?
No, thanks. And it isn't Japanese stuff. It just happens to be Hoji Carmichael. La da 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 da. nightingale tells his fairy tale.
You know something, Dottie? You're wonderful.
What are you doing, Barney? Operating?
No, I mean it, Dottie. You are wonderful. And I hope you won't forget our Japanese lesson either, because I do want to see you again.
Won't that be rather hard? Aren't you going to Korea tomorrow?
Where did you hear that?
Oh, the bird told me.
Well, okay, if you must know, I'm flying from Tachikawa at 6:30 in the morning. But I've been over before, always come back. And I do want to see more of you. I want to learn about Hoagie Carmichael. Tell me you'll teach me.
All right, Barney, I'll teach you. Anytime you say the word. Dear Jean, it's been nearly a year since I wrote you last, but what a year. I'm on the other side of the world now, in France. That sergeant I met in Tokyo vanished like Jonah in the whale. A couple of weeks after he left, I received $5 from him for the 1,800 yen he had to borrow to pay the dinner check that night. It was pinned to a scrap of paper that just said, thanks. When some of us whacks had a chance to get transferred from Japan to Europe, I jumped at the opportunity. We docked at Le Havre a week ago last Friday. Oh, it was all very exciting. But what should happen to me the moment I stepped off the gangplank?
All right, who's next? We got just enough tape to record 3 more voices. Any of you gals from the deep south?
Barney McCoy?
Dottie! Dottie Miller!
Hi.
What are you doing here? Hey, did you get the $5 I sent you from Korea?
That's all I got.
Well, it's not so strange. That's all I sent. I've been all over the place. I haven't had a chance to write to anybody even. I can't get over you being here.
What are you doing here?
I'm making hometown recordings, human interest stuff. You know, you record voices of soldiers and wax, then you send the tapes to the hometown radio stations to use as they see fit, usually in local news broadcasts. Well, wait. How about giving Skinny Atlas a thrill?
Barney, you remember Skinny Atlas.
You think I'd forget? Come on now, into the mic.
Well, okay. Hello, Mother and Dad, and everybody in Skinny Atlas. This is Dorothy Miller speaking from Le Havre, France. We had a wonderful trip over, and we... I don't know what else to say, Barney. I spoiled the tape.
Oh, that's all right. I have to edit it anyway when I get back to Paris or Frankfurt. Here, give me the mic. Do you think you're going to like Paris, Corporal Miller?
I'm sure I'll love it now.
And are you going to see a lot of me?
I'd like to.
Well, you have to. Every time you get a pass.
You'll probably go flying off somewhere.
Oh, I won't.
Attention, shipment number 964-6A.
Oh, shut up.
Shipment number 964-6A. Falling by the omnibuses on the double. We're ready to go.
That's my shipment, Barney. I have to go.
All right, you will see me.
How can I get in touch with you?
Phone NATO headquarters and ask for radio PIO. If I'm not there, leave a message.
So last night, Barney and I had our first date since Tokyo, June. Oh, it was wonderful. I met him at the Hotel de la Huchette on what they call the left bank, just a block away from the Seine River. We ate by candlelight. And after dinner, we walked out on the Saint Michel Bridge and watched the boats passing by. The moon was shining, and someone someplace was playing an accordion.
Isn't that the same song, Doc, that played that night in Tokyo?
Barney, you remember Stardust. Oh, that was lovely. Even if I did have to pay for dinner.
Oh, Dottie, I'm sorry I never got back.
At least you could have written. But then you were probably busy.
I heard about that joker in the cafe in Tokyo. Sure, I kid around sometimes, but I'd never met anyone like you.
Oh, Barney, it's all so perfect. I mean, you and the music and the moon and the water. Oh, gee, I hate to ask you, what time is it?
Oh, isn't that just like a woman? I have dreamed of this moment ever since I met you on the other side of the world. And you asked me what time it is. 5 minutes of 11. Why?
Well, Barney, everything's been wonderful this evening, and I wish I didn't have to go, but I must get back to Lucien. My pass is up at midnight, and the last bus leaves in 15 minutes. You wouldn't want me to be AWOL, would you?
No, Dottie, but...
Come on, Barney. We better leave.
Okay.
And now that I found him again, Jeannie, I'm going to see him. He's right here. If I can't go see him, he can come and see me. I've never been so happy in all my life. I thought I heard you in the day room, darling. Oh, what's the matter, Martha? Haven't you seen the bulletin board? You and I and Mary and Cornelia are all being transferred to Germany. Oh, no. To Heidelberg, no less. Well, when do we leave? Tomorrow sometime. We're to be all packed and ready to go by 10 o'clock in the morning. Oh. Well, hey, what's the matter? Well, don't you understand? We're going to Heidelberg.
You are listening to the proudly rehailed production, Let the World See You. Our story will continue in just a moment after this important message.
Have you noticed the new trim WAC uniform? It is being worn proudly by the young women who are serving in the Women's Army Corps. This new uniform not only stamps the wearer as being smartly dressed, it also indicates that she is doing her part to keep America strong. If you are a young woman between 18 and 34 and can qualify, you are urged to do your part in making unity, strength, freedom a reality. Go to your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station and enlist in the Women's Army Corps today.
And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly rehailed production, Let the World See You.
Dear Jean, when I wrote you last from Paris, I was desolate at the very thought of being transferred to Heidelberg. But then I discovered that Barney works out of Frankfurt as much as he does around Paris. And Frankfurt's just a short distance away. So while they piled a lot of extra work on me, writing up troop information and education lectures and a million other things, I don't mind it a bit. I've been seeing Barney once or twice a week for the past 5 months, and we met again last night in front of the Rush Post Hotel as usual. And then we walked along the promenade overlooking the river until we got to our favorite bench. The old castle high up on the hillside was all lighted up with floodlights and spring was in the air.
Listen, Doc, I got something on my mind.
Oh, nothing serious, I hope.
Oh, well, I don't suppose the world will explode into neutrons, but this situation isn't good.
What situation, Barney? Ours or the world?
Ours. I don't like the idea of coming down here from Frankfurt once a week and then scooting back up north again all on the same night.
Oh. It's making the trip you objected?
No, it isn't a trip. It's all the times I can't make the trip. I want to be with you all the time. Not just once and again like this.
What are we going to do when my detachments move to Austria?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, too. Listen, when are you going to Salzburg?
A couple of weeks.
Dottie, was there ever a boyfriend in the Skinny Atlas?
Once upon a time.
What was his name?
Homer Flitz. But you needn't worry about him. He got engaged before I ever joined the West. Maybe married by now.
Mrs. Flitz. Mrs. Flitz? Oh, no. That doesn't fit you at all. Now, Mrs. Dorothy McBride, now, there's a fine old Irish name for you.
If this is a proposal, you'll have to be more formal.
All right, darling. Will you?
But, Barney...
No buts about it, Donnie. Why knock ourselves out going on like this when we can be together all the time?
But there are other things a girl thinks about. My family, your family, and friends, and besides, how could it work out, Barney? You in Frankfurt and me all the way over there in Austria.
You just leave that to me, Dottie. Paris, Frankfurt, Salzburg, they're all one and the same as far as I'm concerned. Now, look, I'll make a request to be transferred to the Public Information Office at Salzburg from Frankfurt. We'll set up housekeeping on the banks of the Salzach River. How about it?
Dear Jean, here it is November again, and a lot of water has flowed under the bridges in Heidelberg and Salzburg since you heard from me last. Things started out according to schedule. Our detachment moved to Salzburg in May. Barney was transferred here and brought his stuff down from Frankfurt about a week later. We made arrangements to get married the second week in June when we could both get leave. We leased a little 2-room flat over a bookstore that must have been built by the Medici. It was right around the corner from Mozart's home. And if you leaned way out of the window, you could see the river a block away and the mountains on beyond. Well, Barney drove to Vienna the last of May to make some special recordings, and he said he'd be back the next Wednesday. Wednesday came, and Barney wasn't back. Then Thursday, Friday, still no Barney. I was worried at first, and then I remembered again what that corporal had said in Tokyo about Barney and the girls there. On Saturday, I was visiting the flat on my weekend pass, going over some things with the landlady, Frau Gruber.
Oh, was ist los, Fräulein? You look so unhappy.
Oh, I'd like to cut his ears off, Frau Gruber.
Oh, it is the young man, it's like.
Yeah, it's the young man. He told me he'd be back Wednesday.
It is not good when you cannot depend on a man.
No. Oh, somebody at the downstairs door.
I will go see.
Hello. Oh, no, you don't have to go see. It's Barney, and it's about time.
Hi, honey. I knew I'd find you here. Hello, Mrs. Gruber.
Grüß Gott, Herr Feldwebel. I go now.
Hi. Well, here I am. What did you think? I'd gone over the hills?
Oh, I was worried. You said you'd be back Wednesday, and I didn't hear from you.
Oh, well, Brenda and I got held up by the commies.
Brenda?
Yeah, Brenda Potter, the photographer. You've seen her stuff in Weekend Pictorial.
I don't know as I have.
Oh, well, she's very well known. She's been doing a special feature on Vienna. She's on her way up now.
She's coming up here?
Yeah, sure. I ran into her at a news briefing in Vienna, and I offered to drive her back. The commies picked us up in the Russian zone, and that was that. They didn't like the looks of her camera or my tape recorder. I think they thought we were spies. Donnie, what's the matter? Don't you believe me?
Well, this is quaint, Barney.
Oh, yeah, come on in. Well, meet the famous Brenda Potter, Doc.
How are you?
Hello.
Here she is, Brenda, the future Mrs. McBride.
Oh, Barney's spoken so much about you.
He's evidently had plenty of time to do it.
See, there's some place I can comb my hair. It's going to be blown to pieces.
The bedroom is in there.
Oh, thanks so much. I'll only be a minute.
What's the matter with you, Doc?
So it was the commies who held you up. Are you sure it wasn't that redhead?
You're out of your mind.
If you got picked up by the commies, why wasn't it in the newspaper or on the radio?
Why should it be?
Such things always are.
No, they're not. You only hear about the incidents that make the headlines. Besides, my job keeps me moving. It's difficult to let everybody know just where I am. I operate from many points.
That's just it. That's what the corporal in Tokyo said. He said you were quite an operator.
Oh, for Pete's sake, Dot, I've explained that was all a gag.
Oh, I'm not so sure. Not after this.
Oh, calm down, honey. Now, look, I'm sorry if I...
I'm not sorry. I'm glad.
What?
I'm glad it happened before and not after the chaplain got around to marrying us. I've learned my lesson. I'm through.
What are you going to do?
I'm going back to the barracks. And you needn't try getting in touch with me tomorrow, next week, or next year. I'm through.
Dot, listen.
Is anything the matter, Barney?
Oh, no. Nothing's the matter. Nothing's the matter.
Darling, wait. Dot!
Corporal Miller reporting, ma'am?
Sit down, Corporal. What's on your mind?
Well, I understand there's to be a new WAC detachment in Leghorn, Italy, Captain Holbrook. I'd like to put in for an assignment here.
You want to leave Salzburg? I thought you were getting married here.
I changed my mind. That's the reason I want to go to Italy. I want to forget the whole thing.
I see. Well, I noticed by your records after you told me about your wedding plans that your 3 years are up in November. What do you intend to do? Re-enlist over here?
I don't know, ma'am. For the last 3 years, I felt that I was doing something worthwhile. I've seen and done more than I ever dreamed of, and I would like to get a little more rank, but... May I think it over, Captain Holbrook?
Certainly. But you'd still like to go to Italy.
I'd be willing to leave right now.
Very well, Corporal Miller. I'll see what can be done.
Leghorn was very nice. If you like blue skies and blue seas and wide, sandy beaches. But I didn't have the time. So I wrapped myself up in my work, getting things ready for the wax due in from the United States. and trying to forget the past 18 months. They even gave me another stripe, made me sergeant. And then rotation back to Camp Tilma, New Jersey. So here I am about an hour out of New York, all ready to become a civilian again within the next 10 minutes, as soon as I pick up my separation papers. I can't seem to decide about re-enlisting, but I have 90 days to make up my mind and still keep my sergeant's stripes. Tell Mother and Dad that I'm on my way. As ever, Dottie. Oh, P.S. I'm mailing this letter in the post exchange when I go to catch my bus. Pardon me. Could you tell me where the mailbox is?
Over there by the front door, ma'am.
Oh, I see it. Thank you.
So you've reached the point where recruits call you ma'am, eh, Dottie?
Barney. Well, where did you come from?
Oh, I spotted you crossing the parade ground, so I followed you. Ah, you're looking pretty spiffy.
You've seen this dress before.
But I never saw you wearing an honest-to-goodness hat. Now, how about a cup of coffee?
I'm going to New York. I have to catch a bus.
Well, look, the New York bus doesn't leave for 20 minutes. Come on in here, snack bar.
But, Barney,
Come on. Hey, see? This is much better. Oh, 2 cups of coffee?
No, I shouldn't be doing this.
The only thing you shouldn't have done is run out on me in Salzburg. I presume you saw Brenda Potter's article in Weekend Pictorial?
I saw it when I got back here 2 days ago. She's a horrible writer. I could do better myself.
At least you found out I wasn't two-timing you. That it wasn't our fault we didn't get back to Salzburg on time.
All right. I apologize for everything I said.
Well, as things turned out, it'll save you the trouble of introducing me around Skinny Atlas when you get home.
I didn't say I was going home.
Oh, well, I suppose that you were. I was talking to Captain Haynes from Classification and Assignment, and he mentioned that you had re-enlisted and were going home on a short leave.
He happened to mention my name?
Well, yes, after I'd asked him if a certain Black Sergeant Dorothy Miller had passed through these parts recently. I told him I certainly could use you in Panama. They're opening a new PIO office there. We're looking for competent people.
Panama?
That's right. Sailing Saturday. Oh, by the way, did your boyfriend, what's his name? Homer Flitz. Did he ever get married?
What is that to you?
Nothing. I'm just wondering if you'd be thinking of me when you're washing out his socks or playing Parcheesi with your mother-in-law.
Coffee, Sergeant.
Oh, thank you. Hey, does this jukebox work?
You gotta put a nickel in.
I kind of figured that. Thanks. Might as well have a little music while we're waiting. It should be quite a deal in Panama, Dottie. Of course, I know I'll be busy, but it'll be fun. Oh, gosh, if I were only married, I'd have my own quarters, maybe even my own banana tree. While you're washing out those socks, I'll be lying on the beach and watching the lovebirds and parakeets singing in the palm trees.
Barney, you're a louse.
Why, what's the matter now?
You didn't have to play Stardust.
Huh? Start? Oh, so it is. Oh, well, don't fret, honey. It'll be over in a minute.
Barney.
Oh, yes, and while you're thinking of me over that wash tub, remember, it could have been you beside me on that beach. Just the two of us. Hey, where you going?
Let go of me, Barney. I something to do.
You haven't got a thing to do for another 10 minutes.
Yes, I have. I'm going to see Captain Haynes and see if he'll assign me to Panama. I have a hunch it would be my best assignment. And see about that beach business.
Here's an opportunity for you young women of America. An opportunity to get in step with the smartest. Today, the rapidly expanding Women's Army Corps, proud newcomer on the team of defense, needs qualified young women between the ages of 18 and 34. This is your chance to do an important job. The pay is good, with excellent prospect of rapid advancement. Why not check with your local United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today? You'll find that it's easy to get in step with these proud American women who are serving their country in the Women's Army Corps.
This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Bureau for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghurst speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petrie family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invites you to listen to Dr. Watson tell another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend at Master Detective Sherlock Holmes. Before he starts, I can tell you something that's really worth knowing. Simply this. The best beginning a good meal ever had is a glass of Petrie California Sherry. Petrie Sherry is the perfect before-dinner wine. While you're waiting for dinner to be put on the table, pour yourself a glass of that clear, amber-colored Petrie Sherry. Now, just sit back and sip it slowly. Take your time so you can thoroughly enjoy every single drop of that wonderful Petrie flavor. And what a flavor that sherry has. It comes right from the sun-ripened heart of wonderful California grapes. You may be a real wine expert and know all about sherry wine, but believe me, until you've tried a Petrie Sherry, you're really missing something. Serve Petrie Sherry alone or serve it with canapes or appetizers. And by all means, serve it proudly. You can because the letters P-E-T-R-I spell the proudest name in the history of American wines. Petrie. And now let's visit our good friend and host, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Bartell. Draw up your usual chair and make yourself at home. How about a glass of sherry?
That'd be very nice. All ready for tonight's story, Doctor?
Yes, my boy. Here's your sherry.
Thank you, sir.
My story begins on a June night in 1889. My wife and I had spent a quiet evening at home, I remember. It was just about the hour that a man gives his first yawn and glances at the clock, and the tranquility of the scene was broken by the discordant jangling of our front doorbell.
An emergency call for you, I suppose, Doctor.
Not exactly, Mr. Bartell. It turned out to be a certain Mrs. Isa Whitney, an old friend of my wife's who'd come to us in trouble. Her husband, she told us, had been missing for 48 hours, and, knowing him to be the victim of the shocking habit of taking opium, she was convinced that he was lying drugged and stupefied in some foul den amid the London waterfronts.
And I suppose you went out to try to find him?
Yes, Mr. Bartell, I did. She told me that her husband had mentioned frequenting a place called the Bar of Gold in Upper Swandam Lane, so naturally that's where I began my search. I quickly located it, and after ordering my cab to wait, I entered the place. A strange sight met my eyes. Through the smoke-ridden gloom, I could catch a glimpse of bodies lying in strange, fantastic poses as they smoked the pipes of death. Most of the unhappy creatures lay silently, but some muttered to themselves and others talked together in strange, low, monotonous voices, their conversation coming in gushes and then trailing off into silence, each mumbling his own thoughts and paying little attention or heed to the words of his neighbor. As I entered, an attendant hurried up to me with an opium pipe and a supply of the drug and beckoned me to an empty berth.
Master may lie here.
I haven't come to stay here, my good man. I'm looking for a friend, Mr. Isa Whitney.
No one by that name here, master.
Well, I'm going to search this place just the same.
Please not to make trouble, master.
Watson. Is that you, Watson? Whitney. Thank heavens I've found you, man.
What time is it?
It's nearly 11.
Of what day?
What day? Friday, June the 19th.
Oh, good Lord, I thought it was Wednesday. It is Wednesday. You're trying to confuse me.
I tell you, it's Friday. Your wife has been waiting 2 days for you.
You're mixed up in your dates, Watson. I've only been here a few hours. 3 pipes, 4 pipes. I forget how many. I'll go home with you.
Here, I'll give you a hand. That's it. I have a cab waiting.
I must owe some money. Will you settle up for me,
Yes,
Watson?
yes, of course. Here, wait here for me. Stop pulling at my sleeve, my good fellow. Who are you and what do you want?
A word in your ear, please,
Oh,
sir.
very well. What is it?
Get rid of your friend and join me outside.
Holmes. What on earth are you doing here, I understand?
Your cab waiting?
Yes?
Then please use it to send your befuddled friend home in. And if you feel up to it, I should also recommend that you send a note to the cabman telling your wife that you've thrown in your lot with me. I'd be exceedingly glad to have a little talk with you.
Yes, of course, Holmes.
Splendid. Then conclude your business here, old chap. I'll meet you outside in about 10 minutes.
Where on earth is he? It's nearly... Is that you, Holmes?
Yes, Watson, it's me.
Your disguise is wonderful. I've never recognized you if you haven't spoke to me just now.
Disposed of your friend?
Yes, good.
Splendid. Let's start walking. I have a horse and trap waiting for me in the next street.
Oh, what on earth were you doing in the Bar of Gold, Holmes?
Trying to get news of a missing man. Yes, I'm in the midst of a very remarkable inquiry. And I'd hoped to get a clue from the incoherent ramblings of those poor devils back there. There's the horse and trap under the street lamp on the corner. You'll come with me, Watson.
Yes, of course, if I can be of any use.
A trusty comrade is always of use. My room at the Cedars has 2 beds in it.
The Cedars?
Yes, that's Mr. Neville St. Clair's house and our present destination. It's near Lee in Kent, about 7 miles from here. I'm using it as a headquarters while I conduct my inquiries.
Evening, Mr. Holmes. Everything all right?
Yes, thank you, John. Get in, Watson.
Right, John.
I shan't need you any more tonight, John. Here's half a crown for you. Look out for me tomorrow about 11.
Right you are, Mr. Holmes. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, John. Go on, get up.
Well, Holmes, if we have a 7-mile drive ahead of us, perhaps you'll tell me about the case that you're working on.
With pleasure, old chap. But first, take the reins for a few minutes, will you? I want to remove my makeup and take off my wig and be comfortable. After that, I'll tell you why we are headed for the Kentish countryside at this hour of the night. Watson, you have a grand gift of silence. It makes you invaluable as a companion. We've driven 4 miles and you haven't uttered a word.
It wasn't easy, Holmes. I've been dying to question you, but I could see that you were preoccupied.
Then I shall reward you with a clear and concise statement. My problem. Mr. Neville St. Clair, aged 37, the father of 2 children and an affectionate husband, is missing. He left his house, the Cedars, near Lee, our present destination, last Monday.
4 days ago, eh?
Yes. Now, why should an affectionate husband and a happy father disappear?
Any money trouble?
No, I think not. His entire debts, at the moment, amount to £88, while he has £220 standing to his credit at the Capital and Counties Bank.
Who was the last person to see him on Monday?
His wife. But let me tell you the story. He left his house for London rather earlier than usual.
He was a businessman, then?
Yes, he has an interest in several companies in London. But his wife doesn't know exactly what he does. But to continue. He left for London saying that he would bring his little boy home a box of toy bricks. Now, by the merest chance, his wife received a telegram shortly after his departure saying that a parcel of considerable value was waiting for her at the offices of the Aberdeen Shipping Company.
Aberdeen Shipping? Why, their offices are in Fresno Street. I drove by them tonight.
Exactly. In Fresno Street branches out of Upper Swandam Lane, where the Bar of Gold is situated.
Ah, now I'm beginning to understand. Go on, Holmes, go on.
Mrs. St. Clair took a train for London, and at exactly 4:35 on Monday last, found herself walking past the Bar of Gold. Suddenly, she heard a cry, and looking up, was horrified to see her husband beckoning to her from a second-story window.
Great Scott, was he a prisoner, or was he there of his own free will, do you suppose?
Undoubtedly, he was a prisoner. The window was open, and she distinctly saw his face, which she described as being terribly agitated.
Well,
he waved his hand to her frantically and then vanished from the window so suddenly that it seemed to her that he had been dragged back by some irresistible force from behind.
Gracious me.
One singular point which struck her quick feminine eye was that although he wore the coat he had left for London in, he wore neither collar nor tie.
Well, what did she do?
Rushed down the steps into the Bar of Gold and attempted to go up the staircase leading to the second floor.
I suppose that Oriental fellow that I talked to tonight stopped her.
Exactly. In fact, he pushed her out of the door and slammed it after her. She rushed down the lane and a few moments later was lucky enough to meet a sergeant and two constables.
She took them back with her to the Bar of Gold, of course.
Yes. They went with her to the room in which Neville St. Clair had last been seen. Of course, there was no sign of him. In fact, on the whole floor, there was no one to be found except a hideous, deformed beggar who seemed to live there. From what Mrs. St. Clair told me, it appears that the sergeant conducted the examination quite intelligently.
You saw your husband at this window, Mrs. Sinclair?
I'm positive, Sergeant.
And Alaska swears no one's been upstairs this afternoon. He's probably lying. But let's see what this cripple fellow has to say for himself. Here, you.
What do you want with me? I ain't done nothing.
Now, you heard what this lady said. Did you see her husband go in this room a few minutes ago?
I didn't see nobody, and I've been here all the afternoon.
You live here?
Yes.
And you swear on oath that no one's been in this room for the last few hours?
Yes, I do.
Mrs. Sinclair, I know that you think you saw your husband, but don't you suppose...
Look on the table.
Just a wooden box, ma'am.
But I know what's inside it. There, see?
Oh, it's a lot of wooden bricks like kids play.
My husband came to London today especially to buy them for our son. You can't disbelieve me now, Sergeant.
Don't think I can, ma'am. I'll take another look round. Where does this door lead to?
My bedroom. Yeah, you won't find nothing in there.
Oh, we'll look just the same. Hello. There's bloodstains on this window ledge. Fresh bloodstains. How do you account for that?
Well, I don't know nothing about it.
And the window overlooks the river, just where the water's good and deep, too. Nice place to tip a body out. Here, come here, you.
Yeah, I ain't done nothing.
You've got bloodstains on your right sleeve. What do you got to say about that?
Well, I cut my finger, see? And then I went and opened the window later. That's how the blood got there.
Did you think I was born yesterday? Let's have a look in this chest of drawers. Hello. Hello, whose clothes are these? A pair of trousers, socks, shoes, hat, everything except the coat, eh? Mrs. Sinclair, will you come in here, please, Mum?
What have you found, Sergeant?
These clothes. Are they your husband's, Mum?
Yes. Yes, they are. What's happened to him, Sergeant?
I'm afraid he's met with foul play, Mum. And this man knows what happened, and he won't talk.
I don't know nothing, I tell you.
Don't you? Well, I arrest you in the name of the law, and I warn you that anything you say...
And so, Watson, the sergeant arrested this crippled beggar.
No, I'm not surprised. What have they been able to find out about him?
Surprisingly little. His name is Hugh Boone. And he's a professional beggar, quite a successful one, I gather. His pathetic appearance attracts great sympathy. There's a shock of orange hair and a pale face that is disfigured by a horrible scar which has twisted the outer edge of his upper lip.
And he was the last man to see Neville St. Clair alive, eh?
So it would seem. The Lascar downstairs has been cross-examined relentlessly, but he swears that he has no knowledge of the crime.
Have there been any further development?
Oh, yes, old chap. Yes, indeed there have. The ebbing tide gave a fresh clue.
Do you mean St. Clair's body was washed out?
No, his coat.
What?
With every pocket stuffed with pennies and halfpennies. 421 pennies and 270 halfpennies, to be exact. There's no wonder that it had not been swept away by the tide.
But a human body was a different matter.
Yes, there's a strong eddy between the house and the wharf. It seems likely that the weighted coat had remained when the stripped body had been carried away into the river.
Well, the other clothes were found in the room. Why would the body be dressed in a coat alone?
We can only surmise, old chap, but supposing that this man Boone had thrust Neville St. Clair through the window and into the river, what would he do then?
Try and dispose of the telltale garments.
Yes, that would be logical, wouldn't it? He would seize the coat and be in the act of throwing it out of the window when it would occur to him that it would float and not sink.
So he loaded the pockets with coins to make it sink.
Quite so.
Of course.
But he has little time, for he has heard the scuffle downstairs when Mrs. St. Clair tried to force her way up. He only succeeded in getting as far as throwing the coat out when the police arrived on the scene.
Well, that seems perfectly feasible.
Well, it'll do as a working hypothesis anyway.
Neville St. Clair disappeared on Monday, and yet we still don't know what he was doing in the opium den. What happened to him when he got there, or where he is now?
Oh, what Hugh Boone, the beggar with the twisted lip, had to do with his disappearance. Here we are at our destination.
Well, there's a light burning. Mrs. Sinclair must be waiting up for you.
Yes, poor woman. I hate to return here with no news of her husband, but she's being brave, Watson, extremely brave. We must do everything we can to comfort her.
Dr. Watson, I'm so grateful that you were able to come down and help your friend.
Oh, I only hope that I can be of some help, Mrs. Sinclair.
I see that you have no good news for me, Mr. Holmes.
I'm afraid not.
No bad.
No.
Thank heaven for that. Mr. Holmes, tell me honestly, do you think that Neville is still alive?
Well,
Frankly now.
Frankly, then I don't.
You think he's murdered?
Oh, I don't say that, but perhaps you...
And on what day did he meet his death?
On Monday.
Then perhaps, Mr. Holmes, you can explain how I received a letter from him today.
What?
Where is the letter, madam?
Here.
Let me see it. This is very crude writing on the envelope. Surely it's not your husband's hand?
No, but the writing in the letter is.
Uh-huh. This letter contained an enclosure.
Yes, there was a ring. His signet ring.
What does the letter say, Holmes?
Dearest, do not be frightened. All will come well. There is a huge error which it may take some little time to rectify. Wait in patience. And it's signed Neville. Mm-hmm. Written in pencil on the flyleaf of a notebook. No watermark. Posted today in Gravesend by a man with a dirty thumb. Mm-hmm. And the flap has been gummed, if I'm not mistaken, by a man who has been chewing tobacco.
My husband must be alive, Mr. Holmes.
This might be a clever forgery to put us off the track.
But the signet ring.
Yes, it may have been taken from him.
But the handwriting and then the postmark.
Might have been written on Monday and only posted today.
I won't be discouraged,
Mrs.
Mr. Holmes.
Sinclair, I have no wish to discourage you. I'm just trying to be practical. If your husband is alive and able to write letters, why should he remain away from you?
I can't imagine.
He made no special remarks before leaving on Monday?
No, none. Except to say that he was going to buy the wooden blocks.
When you saw him at the Bar of Gold in Swandam Lane, was the window open?
Yes.
Then he might have called you.
He might.
As I understand it, he gave an inarticulate cry, a call for help, you thought.
Yes, he waved his hands.
But it might have been a cry of surprise. Astonishment at the unexpected sight of you might have caused him to throw up his hands.
I suppose so.
And you thought that he was pulled back from the window.
Yes, because he disappeared so abruptly.
He might have leaped back, mightn't he?
He might have, though I can't think why.
One last question. Had your husband ever shown signs of taking opium?
Why, no, never, Mr. Holmes. I'm certain the idea would have revolted him.
Thank you, Mrs. Sinclair. Those were the principal points I wanted to be clear on. And now, Watson, I suggest we retire for the night. We may have a busy day ahead of us tomorrow.
I hope you both sleep well. Good night, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson.
Good night, Mrs. Sinclair, and keep up your courage.
Good night, Mrs. Sinclair. We must hope for the best. The clouds seem lighter, though I should not venture to say that danger is over.
You'll hear the rest of Dr. Watson's story in just a second. So I'm just going to remind you that when you buy Petri California Sherry, you have a choice of two kinds of sherry. You can choose Petri regular sherry, or if you prefer your sherry dry, not sweet, ask for Petri Pale Dry Sherry. They're both fine wines. And if you don't know which you'd prefer, don't buy one, buy two. Buy them both and try them both. And remember this. Petri Sherry is the perfect all-round, all-occasion wine. It's good before dinner, after dinner, at cocktail time, and any time. Just be sure you get Petri Sherry. Well, Dr. Watson, you and the great Sherlock Holmes certainly deserved a good night's rest. Did you get it?
I did, Mr. Bartell, but Holmes made no attempt to sleep. As soon as we retired upstairs, he donned a blue silk dressing gown and then wandered about the room collecting pillows from his bed and cushions from the sofa and the armchairs. With these, he constructed a sort of eastern divan on which he perched himself cross-legged with an ounce of shag tobacco and a box of matches laid out in front of him.
He was all set for a session of thinking, I guess, huh?
Yes, my boy. In the dim light of the lamp, I saw him sitting there, an old briar pipe clenched in his teeth, his eyes fixed vacantly on a corner of the ceiling, the blue smoke curling up from him, silent. motionless. So he sat as I dropped off to sleep, and so he sat when I wakened in the morning to find the summer sun shining into the room. The pipe was still between his lips, the smoke still curled upward, and the room was full of a dense tobacco haze. But nothing remained of the heap of shag which I had seen on the previous night.
Watson? Awake, Watson?
What time is it?
20 minutes past 4.
Lord Holmes, you haven't been to bed.
Too old chap, I had to think. I couldn't allow my brain the luxury of sleeping. You game for a morning drive?
Yes, certainly. I'll get rest.
Good. No one's stirring yet, but I know where the stable boy sleeps. I'll have the horse and trap out in no time at all.
Oh, where are we going?
To prison. To visit Hugh Boone, the man with the twisted lip.
Holmes, you're unusually excited. What's on your mind?
I want to test a little theory. I think, Watson, that you are now standing in the presence of one of the most absolute fools in Europe. I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross, but I think I have the key to the affair now.
Oh? Where is it?
In the bathroom.
What? You're joking, Holmes.
No, I've just been there and removed it. It's in my coat pocket now. Hurry and get dressed, old chap. And we'll drive over to the prison and see whether my key fits the lock.
Well, good morning, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson.
Good morning, officer. Good morning.
Well, you're a couple of early birds, and no mistake.
Yes, Constable. We're searching for the proverbial worm. Who's on duty?
Inspector Bradstreet, sir.
Oh.
Oh, here he is now.
Good morning, Bradstreet.
Oh, hello, Mr. Holmes. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Inspector.
What can I do for you, gentlemen?
We called about Hugh Boone, the beggar man who is charged with being concerned in the disappearance of Mr. Neville St. Clair. You have him here?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. He's in the cells. I'll take you to him. Follow me, will you, gentlemen?
Thank you.
Well, what kind of a prisoner has he been, Inspector?
Oh, he hasn't given us any trouble, but he's a dirty devil. It's as much as we can do to make him wash his hands. His face is as black as a tinker's.
So he has an aversion to washing, has he?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Well, once his case has been settled, he'll have a regular prison bath, and when you see him, I think you'll agree with me that he needs it. And there we are. This is his cell. He's still asleep.
Good Lord, what a filthy, repulsive-looking fellow.
Yes, he's a beauty, isn't he? Want to go in, Mr. Holmes?
Please, Inspector.
Well, he certainly needs a wash.
Yes, I had an idea that he might. That's why I brought this sponge along in my pocket.
Oh, so that was the key that you found in the bathroom.
You're a funny one, Mr. Holmes, and no mistake. What did you bring a sponge along for?
I'll show you. Is there any water in this cell?
In the jug on the table there.
Yes. I soak the sponge in the water so, and then apply it to the prisoner's face, so.
Great Scott, his complexion's 3 shades lighter underneath, and the scar on his lip has disappeared.
What are you doing to me?
Now a tug on this mop of red hair, and I think we'll find it's a wig. Yes, come on. That's right. Let me introduce you to Mr. Neville St. Clair of Lee in the county of Kent.
Good Lord, Mr. Holmes, it's the missing man, all right. I recognize him from the photographs. All right. I'm Neville St. Clair. What am I charged with? With making away with Mr. Neville St. Oh, no, you can't be charged with that unless we make a case of attempted suicide of it. Well, since I'm the missing man, then it's obvious that no crime has been committed, and therefore I'm illegally detained.
No crime, but a very great error has been committed. You would have done better to have trusted your wife.
It wasn't only my wife, it was the children. I couldn't bear to have them know that their father was a common beggar. Now you've exposed me. What can I do?
Well, if you leave it to a court of law to clear this matter up, sir, you can hardly avoid newspaper publicity. But if you're perfectly honest with us now, I'm sure that the Inspector and Mr. Holmes won't be too hard on you.
No, Mr. St. Clair. Inspector Bradstreet will, I'm sure, make notes on the information that you give us and submit them to the proper authorities. But now, sir, your story, please. Why have you been posing as Hugh Boone, a crippled beggar with a twisted lip?
Well, it's a simple enough story. Some years ago, I was a newspaper reporter. One day, my editor wanted an article on begging in the London metropolis.
I suppose you thought the best way to get your facts was to disguise yourself as a beggar.
Yes, I'd been an actor in my youth, and it wasn't hard for me to adopt a convincing disguise. But that was the point where all my troubles started. On that first day, I sat in the London streets, I found to my amazement that I received no less than 26 shillings and 4 pence.
Almost as much as your weekly salary as a reporter, I imagine.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Well, you can imagine how hard it was to settle down to arduous work at £2 a week when I knew that I could earn as much in a couple of days by smearing my face with paint, laying my cap on the ground, and sitting still. Only one man knew my secret.
Alaska at the Bar of Gold in Upper Swandam Lane, eh?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning I would emerge from there dressed as a beggar, and in the evenings I'd return and transform myself into a well-dressed man about town. The fellow was well paid for his rooms, and I knew that my secret was safe in his possession.
And when you got married, you couldn't bring yourself to confide in your wife, I suppose.
No, I couldn't. My wife knew that I had a business in the city. She little knew what.
When you saw your wife from the window last Monday, you quickly changed back into the character of the beggar, I suppose.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Of course.
And then weighted my coat and threw it into the river.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think there's anything else I need explain, is there, gentlemen?
One point. The signet ring that you sent your wife.
Well, I knew that she'd be worrying, so I gave it to the Lascar at a moment when no constable was watching me, together with a hastily scribbled note.
That note only reached her last night, Mr. Sinclair.
Last night? Oh, poor Catherine. What a dreadful week she must have spent.
The police have been watching that Lascar. He probably found it difficult to post the letter for you without being spotted.
Yes, I would surmise he gave it to a sailor customer of his to post. A sailor who chewed tobacco and had a dirty thumb. Yes, I think all the ends are tied off very neatly now. One last question, Mr. Sinclair. Have you ever been prosecuted for begging?
Oh, many times, but what was a fine to me?
It's got to stop here and now, Mr. Sinclair. If the police had asked this thing up, there must be no more of you, Boone, the beggar.
I swear it.
And you must tell your wife the truth at once. If you'd done that a long time ago, you'd have saved both of yourselves a very great deal of misery, sir.
I shall tell her everything.
Well, Mr. Holmes, we're very much obliged to you for having cleared this matter up. I wish I knew how you reached your results, though.
Well, in this case, my dear Inspector, I reached them by sitting upon 5 pillows and consuming an ounce of shag tobacco. I only wish that all my problems might be solved so comfortably.
Doctor, that was some story. Imagine arresting a man for committing a murder and then finding out that he's the fellow who's supposed to be dead.
It is a bit bewildering, isn't it?
You said it. Boy, being a detective sure has its surprises. Nothing like that ever happens to me.
Oh, come. One would believe to hear you talk that you lead a very uneventful life.
Oh, but I do, Doctor, I do. Why, I never get any surprises. Look, I tell our friends that Petri wine is always good wine. And what happens?
Oh, what does happen?
Everybody agrees it's good wine, and that's that. Well, it's just got to be. After all, the Petri family has been making wine for generations. Winemaking is their heritage. A heritage passed on down from father to son, from father to son, from generation to generation. The Petri family knows full well the art of turning luscious, sun-ripened grapes into fragrant, delicious wine. And because the making of Petri wine is a family affair, you can be sure that the name Petri on a bottle of wine really stands for something. It's your assurance that every drop of wine in that bottle is good wine. No matter what type wine you prefer, you'll never go wrong with a Petri wine because Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what new Sherlock Holmes adventure are you planning to tell us next week?
Well, now let me see. Next week, Mr. Bartell, I'm going to tell you a weird story of violence and of sudden death that struck without warning. I call it the strange adventure of the uneasy easy chair.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was adapted by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Man with the Twisted Lip. Music is by Dean Fossler. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invite you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is Harry Bartell saying good night for the Petri family.